My former entitled theater teacher tries to get me to give her a discount because
I taught you so much, so you at least owe me this much.
Hello again. I saw my entitled granny story be told on Mr. Reddit's channel and was super happy, so thanks for the smile. Oh, thanks, rSlash. I'm glad to hear that. I have another story, but this time of a former teacher thinking that she could get a discount from me at a beauty supply store. A little backstory. This teacher, I'll be calling Miss Banks, was my theater and piano teacher from sophomore to senior year of high school. Now, Miss Banks wasn't a nice lady. She was the director of the school's show choir, think Glee but on stage. And if you weren't a part of her group, then you were nothing to her. I wasn't in that group. Because of this, I was placed in ensemble and acted as a stagehand for a lot of our theater productions, even though I heard her speak with the other music teachers about how good of a singer I was. I didn't really care though, I just liked being in plays. She would praise only her show choir students during practice and yell at any other students for
not putting in enough effort into their craft.
The last day I was in her piano class, she refused to let any of her students use the practice room and forced us all to sit in her classroom until the end of class. I sat against a wall that had mirrors against it and played on my Game Boy until I noticed something going off. My rear was very cold. I somehow had found a loose piece of glass on the mirror and ripped a giant hole in my pants. Thankfully, I had a hoodie to wrap around me. I went to Miss Banks and explained what happened, hoping she would at the very least remove the loose glass piece from the mirror, but instead I got this.
You stupid girl! You broke my mirror with your fat butt!
I was a 5'3", 100-pound lanky sack of potatoes. Instead of letting me go to the office to call my dad to bring me a new pair of pants, she made me sit in her room and do nothing. After the class was over, I ran to the bathroom and cried of embarrassment. The year after I graduated, I heard from a friend of mine 2 years behind me that Miss Banks was discovered to have been stealing money from the school fundraisers to help pay for her daughter's pageants. She was quickly fired and wasn't able to find work for years. Now, on to the actual story. Our cast. We've got Miss Banks, our sticky-fingered entitled teacher. Miss Banks' daughter. She seemed like a pretty nice person, actually. My manager, the giggly, upbeat girly. And me, Daria in real life. I was about 22 at this time, and I worked at a beauty supply store. I was a cashier since I hated talking about makeup with the customers. I was wiping down the counters when Miss Bank walked through the doors with her daughter. The moment that I saw her, I knew something was going to go down. Miss Banks looked like she was already on the attack, and her daughter didn't look too happy to be here. My manager was like, "What's up, rSlash? You remember Miss Banks?" We both went to the same high school together. "Oh yeah, I did see her by the curling irons. Keep an eye on the security cameras." I nod, and manager begins to patrol around the store. I look at the monitor we had up front and watched as Miss Banks and her daughter looked around. Miss Banks stomping her feet. I would occasionally look at the cameras to make sure they weren't stealing anything while doing my duties and checking out other customers when Miss Banks finally got in line. I couldn't hear what she was grumbling about over the sound of the 2000s pop music coming from the speakers, but the people around her scooted as far from them as they could. When Miss Banks got to the front of the line, her face was bright red.
This store is way too expensive, and there's no parking.
We shared a parking lot with a gym next door. "I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am. Do you have a loyalty card?"
Yes,
She took a good hard look at me.
You were one of my students, weren't you?
"Yes, ma'am. A few years ago."
Oh, good. That means you can help me.
Help you with what exactly? Miss Banks pulls out multiple coupons from her large battered purse.
I want to get this curling iron with these coupons.
I take a look at each coupon. All expired. I can't use these coupons as they are all expired, but you can use your loyalty points to reduce the price. Miss Banks rolled her eyes.
No, I want to use these coupons.
She stomped her foot, slamming it down on her daughter's foot. Her daughter winced at the pain, but her mother paid no mind.
I did so much for you. Help out your poor old teacher.
I sigh. Miss Banks, even if these weren't expired, I would only be able to use one coupon per company policy. Her daughter was like, Mom, let me pay for the curling iron, okay?
No, I don't need people seeing you paying for stuff like this. I'm your mother, and I should pay for it.
She turns back to me.
Now, are you going to help your teacher or no?
I push the button under the counter to signal the manager, and it makes a bright, happy chime through the store. I can do what I stated before and nothing more. If you would give me your loyalty card, I can—
No! I taught you so much, so you owe me at least this much.
My manager comes up to the counter. Is everything okay here?
This girl won't help me and is trying to rip me off. I demand she uses my coupons or else.
Manager proceeds to look at the expired coupons and slides them off the counter into the trash can below. She did her job correctly by not allowing these to go through. Please either use your loyalty points or pay the full price of the curling iron. Miss Banks is very angry at this point. Seeing that she wasn't going to get her way, she stomped down on the floor again, but this time I heard the faintest of cracks. Her daughter is now crying. Her mother stomped down on her foot again and broke one of her toes.
Now look what you made me do. My daughter is hurt because of you.
She points to me. My manager's like, I'm calling the police. Miss Banks freaks out at the mention of police. Guess she's had a run-in with them before, and tries to run out of the store, but her daughter holds onto her arm. She pulls and pulls, but her daughter keeps her in place, still sobbing over the pain. I quickly run to the back room and grab an ice pack we kept in the mini fridge and hand it to her daughter as the police arrive. My manager explains to the police, mall police actually, about what was going on and how we may need an ambulance. Miss Banks is screaming this whole time about how ungrateful I am and that I don't respect my elders. I look her dead in the face and say, how does it feel to be embarrassed like this? To have to sit on your fat butt and be told no? Her eyes widen as she seemed to remember who I actually was. She tries to say something, but instead is dragged off by the police while her daughter iced her broken toe. I haven't seen her since. Next we've got Entitled Father tries to take my drawing tablet because his son is better at art. Hey Mr. Reddit, just in case you read this story happened a few months ago, and watching you just made me remember it. I did paraphrase some of this. Too long didn't read at the bottom. So I do art for fun, and I'm finally getting kinda sorta decent. So a while back, me and my family flew somewhere for some reason, which I can't exactly remember, and we all got split up because we were flying on standby. My mom's a flight attendant. So while I and my dad were waiting to see if we would get on the plane, I was doodling away on my laptop, drawing my sister's Dungeons & Dragons character. My dad stood up to talk to those ladies in front of where you would board and get your ticket scanned, leaving me with our 2 bags and my laptop. Admittedly, I wasn't paying too much attention, but I noticed a boy a little older than me, looked around 15. I was 14 at the time of this story. Our cast. We've got me, the artist. We've got the alright kid. He wasn't too bad, but a little entitled. We've got the entitled dad. And we've got the old savior. Thanks, random old man. Alright kid was like, whoa, that's pretty cool. He began watching me draw while he was plugging up his phone. It's not that great. Thanks. I draw too. That's pretty cool. Admittedly, I wasn't paying attention. I have one headphone in. He watched me for a minute and I kept going. Can I try drawing on your tablet? I assumed he had his own. For the record, this is a cheap tablet. Don't you have one? No. So can I try drawing on yours? Now, any artist knows that their drawing tablet is their baby. And although I'm getting a nice new fancy one with a screen in a month for my birthday, and even though I knew that back then, I didn't trust this random guy. Sorry, I hardly trust my sister with this. It's really hard to use. This is somewhat of a lie, and a lot of people struggle with it, but I picked it up almost immediately. Oh, come on, just for a second, I won't break it. He notices how a part of it is a little scratched up and the top left part of it is popped up. Besides, you haven't taken much care of it. I look where he's looking before shrugging. I do. I just don't have a case for it, and I was a little careless before. See, if you're careless, I should. I cut him off. How rude of me. No. Now can you go away? All right, kid huffs and begins to do something on his phone. Not even a second later, entitled dad approaches.
All right, kid. Is this jerk bothering you?
Now I'm somewhat offended. I'm used to being insulted as a joke by family, and I can usually take insults from strangers. But to hear this from a grown man, talking about a kid who looks around 13 or 14? I look young, okay? I asked to use her drawing tablet, but she didn't want to let me. Entitled dad turns and looks at what I was working on. Inconveniently, I had flipped off my art program out of habit when any adult approaches me and looks at my art. My mom does it all the time and always wants to post it. I had a meme drawing on the other page that I honestly found hilarious.
Yeah, really? You'd think someone who had a drawing tablet would be good at drawing. Why do you even need it?
I was drawing until you came over. At this point in my head, the "oh no, here we go again" meme is playing.
What is that even? Peter Griffin with a nose job?
It was a purposely bad drawing of Peter Griffin. Yes, it is.
Look, if you're gonna be wasting your time on crap like that, you don't even need that tablet.
He begins to reach out to grab my drawing tablet, which I quickly slide away. I put the pen down onto this small little indent thing in my laptop, I don't know what to call it, temporarily while I turned in the little chair to deal with him. If you don't leave me alone, I'm going to get the staff's attention. The entitled dad ignores my warning and reaches for it again. I give him a gentle little shove back, but I don't know my own strength, so it was stronger than I meant. All right, kid, all this time, is just watching in silence.
How dare you push me, you little jerk?
He keeps his voice down, but gets the attention of an older man waiting for the flight as well. He looks a little scruffy with large eye bags.
Listen.
He had a weird but cool accent that was a mix of a New Yorker and an Irishman.
The heck you think you're doing? Swearing at a freaking kid. You think your son's gonna grow up any better than you?
This jerk needs to be taught a lesson. She disrespected me and my son. Besides, she doesn't need her stupid tablet. Her rich parents can just get her a new one.
Old Savior looks like he's done with letting him talk.
Why can't you? He's literally got Nike Air shoes.
He looks to me.
How much did your tablet cost?
About $120 on average.
If you can afford nice, expensive shoes for your son, you can afford to get him a tablet.
Entitled dad seems to be at a loss for words before he splutters out.
Wow, my son is way better than she could ever be. So why would she need it? She'd just end up working in fast food.
I'm also fairly done with this encounter at this point, so I start to pack up, putting my pen in its little holder in my tablet and closing my laptop. I grabbed my 2 bags and dragged them over next to the old man. My mistake was not taking my laptop. Old Savior continues while I do this.
I don't give a crap how talented your son is. It isn't your gosh dang stuff. It's hers. I haven't seen her work, but I'm sure she's great.
I smile a little at this and give him a small nod of appreciation. Before entitled dad gets a word out, Old Savior looks from me back to my laptop and exclaims,
What the heck do you think you're doing?
I look back and Alright Kid has evolved from an alright kid to an entitled kid. Yeah, that's right. He's not good anymore. He unplugged the tablet from its USB port and started to hurriedly walk away, but he stops in his tracks. I'm angry. Very angry. So I hurry up to him and snatch it out of his hands. He was somewhat strong, but you don't get between an art kid and her tablet. I begin to walk away back to my laptop as the entitled dad grabs my arm.
Give that to me right now, you little jerk.
I kind of laugh, grab his arm, and try to pry it off my own. He's stronger than me, so I begin to pry his fingers off my arm by sliding my own tiny hand under it. Meanwhile, Old Savior gets up and grabs his arm, yanking it off. It suddenly becomes clear that this legend, despite his scruffy looks and age, is a boss. Instead of shouting like a normal man, he angrily whispers threats to him. I would relay them here, but he was talking so fast and had so many bad words, it would be a waste of time. Thankfully, This caused Entitled Dad and Entitled Kid to back off, going back to wherever they came from. I grab my laptop and sit next to the old man, thanking him and showing him my work. He tells me not to worry about it and asks what I was drawing. I tell him it's a Dungeons & Dragons character, and he remarks how he used to play a long time ago, when 3.5e just came out. We talk about Dungeons & Dragons for a while before he stands up to board with the folks who get to board before the normies. Not even with the elderly. He was in business class. My dad comes back to me, completely unaware of what just happened, and tells me that we aren't going to make it on that flight. I shrug, we pack up, and we begin to head to the next possible flight we could get on. I tell my dad about this on the walk, and his face hardened like he was upset, but we didn't do anything about it. But hey, I did get an expensive Starbucks out of it afterward. Thank you all for reading. If this actually gets read, please send me a link in the comments. To be honest, a small part of me wishes I could have had a longer conversation, since I really liked the characters he told me about, and he was really chill. So, old man, I salute you. Next we've got Entitled Family Tries to Steal My Cat. Hey, you lovely people. I've had quite a few experiences with entitled parents and other people. So here I am to tell you how one time an entitled family tried to steal my cat. This did happen about 10 years ago, but I'll tell as much as I remember. Here's our, some of them not so, lovely cast. Me, OP, a unicorn goddess. We've got Turbo, my adorable cat. We have the entitled kid, entitled dad, and entitled mom. Now, onto the story. I used to live in a pretty small town where everyone knew pretty much everyone, so most of the time it was more than fine to let my two cats wander around outside. Both cats were, and still are, very clingy and often follow me or my mom if they see we were outside too. So we'd always either keep them inside while we went somewhere or make a run for it until the cats would just give up. That day was one of those days where I made a run for it, as Turbo had been following me to the grocery store. After a few minutes, I was on my way back and almost home when I saw a family consisting of entitled kid, entitled dad, and entitled mom standing by Turbo. Entitled kid petting my cat and giggling at how pretty she was, while her parents watched. Now, I don't want to brag, but Turbo is a very pretty cat, and I've gotten tons of compliments on her. Taking a better look, I could see the family wasn't from around. Their car, clothes, and entitled mom's jewelry all looking very expensive, which wasn't something you really saw in my town. Not because people were poor, but nobody was real flashy, and no one wanted to be the first and stick out. Judging from where their car was parked, I think they were there to look at a house for sale. Anyway, I was smiling to myself and feeling proud again that someone liked my cat, when suddenly the entitled kid looked at her parents and asked, "Mommy, can we keep him?" To which her mother said,
Sure, sweetie. You've been so good lately. You deserve a pet.
This, of course, gave me a minor heart attack as the entitled mom bent down to pick up Turbo. Luckily, Turbo and I had a little game that whenever I wanted her inside, I would bend down to pick her up, only to have her run a few feet, stop, and wait for me to try again a few times. At that moment, Turbo seemed to think it was playtime, and with a little meow, ran about 3 feet away, stopped, and looked back at entitled mom, challenging her to try again, which she did. This was honestly pretty funny to watch, but when entitled mom called for entitled dad to open the car door and help her get Turbo in it, I decided to step in. I called Turbo's name to get her attention, and seeing me, she ran as fast as her little legs could get to me, meowing loudly the whole time as I gave her a few pets and told her we were going home. This did not sit well with the entitled family, as entitled kid started crying, and the parents both looked at me like I was crazy.
What the heck are you doing?
Taking my cat home?
That isn't your cat, you jerk.
Yeah, she is. I've had her for years. Want to see the pics I've got? Apparently, me being a smart aleck was a bad move, as entitled kid dropped to the ground and started screaming even louder as she flopped around.
Kitty! Look what you did. You made entitled kid cry. Just give her that cat already. Some child like you doesn't deserve such a pretty cat anyway. An entitled kid has been behaving wonderful and should be rewarded.
I look at entitled kid who's still throwing a tantrum. You call that good behavior?
Who do you think you are, telling us how to raise our child?
I'm not, but maybe I should.
Give us the cat already.
Nope.
That's it. I'm getting that thing myself.
He started stomping towards me and Turbo, obviously about to try to grab her, but I had enough. So grabbing Turbo, I quickly put her in my bag and zipped it up so only her head was poking out and she couldn't jump out. With that done, I turned back to Entitled Dad, who had almost reached me and was glaring at my bag, obviously intent on just ripping the whole thing off. Luckily, many years of being bullied had resulted in me developing a mess with me and lose attitude that I decided to use, so I gave him my hardest glare and loudly stomped my foot towards him, actually making him stop walking. Listen, jerk. If you even think of coming near my cat again, I'm ripping off your head, making you eat it, poop it out, and eat it again. Entitled Mom let out a dramatic gasp. She must have been shocked that someone actually threatened Entitled Dad, or maybe just my imagination and language, but whatever. Same goes for you and your fake boobs. Get out of here, now. As they just stood there frozen with Entitled Kid having stopped crying, I carefully placed my bag with Turbo in it down, and this time I was the one stomping towards them. Go! That seemed to work, as the Entitled parents dragged their mayonnaise stain into the car and drove off with screeching tires. Never before was I so glad to have been a pretty big girl. I grabbed my bag with Turbo in it and started walking home again, but after a few minutes, I swear I saw the same car again with the driver and passenger both looking the other way, so I couldn't see their faces. I figured they might have somehow found me again and were trying to follow me home to steal Turbo some other time, so I decided to walk past my house and just keep walking for at least an hour before I started taking all kinds of paths that were short but where cars couldn't come. After a while, I managed to not only lose them, but to also have them think that Turbo and I lived in a different neighborhood. Still, as soon as I got home, I got my other cat inside, and my mom and I didn't let them out for at least a week in fear those people would somehow show up again. The end. Thank you all very much for reading how I had to heroically rescue my cat from an entitled family. Also, for those of you wondering, here's a pic of her. And our final story of the day, the muffins. Okay, so this one is a bit strange, but just bear with me. So my wife and I live in an apartment complex that's pretty nice. Nothing too expensive or fancy, but it does have a fireplace and a good amount of space. Plus, the maintenance crew are really nice and professional. Like most apartments, when you get a package that's either too large to leave in the tiny cubbies they give for mail or to leave on your doorstep, it's sent to the main office building. It's a good system that prevents theft or lost packages. Now, my wife loves to bake, so one day she was going full blast in the kitchen and ended up making about 4 dozen tiny banana nut muffins. That's a ton, even for two 20-somethings. So being the nice and slightly shy folk we are, we decided to plate up about 25 of the muffins and bring them to the office. We figured it would be a nice gesture of gratitude. When we get to the office, there were the 2 typical employees that knew my wife and I because we almost immediately picked up our packages, and one I didn't recognize. This is our entitled parent. This woman was legitimately a fusion of a typical Karen and Miss Frizzle in a pantsuit. My wife greeted everyone holding the muffins behind her back. The 2 normal employees both smiled and said hello, while entitled parent just rushed past us without a word. I figured it was her lunch break or something, so I didn't really pay her any mind. After she left, my wife revealed the muffins, much to the office workers' delight. We told them it was for everyone, including the maintenance staff. My wife was wriggling bashfully as everyone talked up her muffins and how cute she was. They all said thank you from then on, and for the next few days everything was normal. But then the fun just stopped. At around 8 a.m. on Sunday, there was a loud banging at my door. My wife was already up, so she answered the door. To her and my surprise, it was entitled parent. Keep in mind, we've never even spoken to this woman. We only know her name from the other office workers. Oh, good morning, Mrs. Entitled Parent. How are you this morning?
Hello. I'm actually really busy today. I was just wondering when you'll be making muffins again.
Well, that was just a one-time thing. But if I end up making more, I'll let you know.
Actually, could you make some today? I really liked them last time and so did my kids, so please be a dear.
Now, my wife isn't exactly what you would call tough. She often caves under pressure or feels guilty when she has to say no. That's where I come in. I have no issue shutting people down who demand more than either of us can do. I got up from the couch and marched over to the door. Actually, Miss Entitled Parent, we're actually about to go out on our weekly date and don't exactly have the time. Sorry about that.
Well, you could always postpone it. My kids and I really liked the muffins. You guys are a little young to be going out like this. Think of this as a chance to do something actually nice for someone else, rather than indulging in each other.
At this point, I'm done. I said no. My wife tried to say no, so that's the end of it. Sorry, we don't have time. We'll try to later. Have a nice day. I said that as quickly as possible to shut the door. Over the next few weeks, we had a few maintenance issues that we submitted requests for. Nothing major, just changing the weather strip and a door that was sticking. After 0 responses from the office or maintenance staff, I went to see what's up. Turns out, Entitled Parent wanted us to make muffins so bad that she denied or just ignored all the requests we sent in. Not only that, but we saw a dramatic spike in our rent the following month, about a $90 increase, that she said was a
one-time mistake,
and
we should just pay because the paperwork isn't worth the trouble.
Eventually, we were done. We gathered all the paperwork and denied requests we could and marched straight to the office. The complex owner was there that day, and we knew he wouldn't be back for another month. As soon as Entitled Parent saw me and my wife with a fat stack of paper, she froze like a deer in headlights. We made our way to the owner and explained our situation. He is stunned over the fact that his employee, who was already on thin ice for something similar, would be so petty. The owner told us that next month's rent would be on him and maintenance should come by as soon as possible. The Entitled Parent glared at us as we left the office. I found out later that she was fired and sent to court for fraud. Turns out she was pulling similar problems with 5 other tenants, raising their rent only to keep the extra money off the books. Man, to think this all started because of some muffins. If this ends up on Reddit, Mr. Reddit is a chill dude. Aw, thanks Bad Bear. You guys sound pretty chill too. Entitled Mom gets mad about a large fry she did not order. Hello Mr. Reddit and Re-Army. I love your videos and I watch them every day on the way home from work. I am on mobile, so sorry for any bad grammar or misspelled words. Let's meet the cast. We've got me, OP. We've got Entitled Mom, Entitled Dad, and the manager. So here's the story. I was minding my own business, stocking, cleaning, and that fun stuff when there was a beep in my ear. I was doing drive-through, lane 2. I answer with my nicest customer service voice. Hi, welcome to the restaurant. How can I help you today? She gives me her order, which is like $45. I read back to her the order word for word and told her the total and to go to the window to pay. She pays, then comes to my window, and this is the conversation that followed. Here are your drinks and food, ma'am. And would you like some dipping sauce with that?
No, but you forgot a large fry. I wanted 5, not 4.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I go ring up a large fry. All right, ma'am. Your large fry is going to be $2.71.
What the heck? Why is it that much?
That is just the price, ma'am.
Well, just give me a refund on all of it since you can't do your job.
I can't because it's just a large fry.
Fine, I just won't eat. You don't know what people are going through. My mother just died, so I deserve the food.
Okay, I can do the refund. Can I have all the food and drinks back?
Fine.
She just hands me the food. Ma'am, I need the drinks too if you want a full refund.
What the heck? Fine. Here you go, you stupid jerk.
She hands me the drinks. Thank you. I get my manager so I can get the Entitled Mom her refund. We give her the refund, and I thought it was the end of it. Boy, was I wrong. The Entitled Dad walks in.
I want to speak to the manager now.
I'm sorry, sir. What's the matter?
Are you a manager?
No.
Then forget you. Give me the manager.
The manager comes running to see what's the problem. What seems to be the problem?
Your stupid employees seem to be the problem. They made my poor wife cry. I demand the whole order free.
I'm afraid I can't do that.
You listen here. You either fire these jerks that don't deserve a job or give me the free food.
Then he said some hurtful things to the manager, and I jump in. We will not do either of those, but you can either order some food or you can get out and not come back. What's your choice?
Forget you.
Okay, just leave.
How are you going to make me?
I'm not, but the police will. After that, he left in a hurry, and I haven't seen him since. He was banned, along with the wife, and they never got their food. Thank you, Mr. Reddit, for all that you do, and keep up the good work. Next, we've got Entitled Pastor? Yup. This is my first story, so if my formatting is wrong, please leave constructive criticism in the comments. It's a long one, so hang in there. This happened nearly 20 years ago, but it was so impactful to me that I remember it all very well. Backstory. My mom was the volunteer secretary for our church, practically since the congregation was formed back in the early 1960s. She served under 5 different pastors over the years, and all of them depended on her a great deal. She knew everyone in the church, and everyone knew her. My dad had served as the church president several different terms, was a church elder, belonged to every committee and group he was eligible for, and knew everyone and everyone knew him. Let's just say that anytime anyone had a question about where something was or how something was done within the church, our phone rang. The church was our family. One of my mom's main responsibilities of her job was producing the weekly church bulletin. This required getting a few bits of information from the pastor, mainly his sermon title and which hymns would be sung that week. Back in the day, she would do this by using a hand-cranked mimeograph machine. Google it, kids. It wasn't quite having to chisel it into a stone tablet, but close. Being the perfectionist she was, there were many times she would find a mistake in the stencil, and rather than leave it, she'd retype the whole thing on her manual typewriter. Even though there wasn't one church member who would have cared if service was spelled wrong. Sadly, my mom passed away following a short illness in 1996. Her sudden departure left a major hole in the church's day-to-day operations. I was grieving badly, not only because I'd lost my mother, but because she was my best friend. About the second Sunday after my mom's funeral, our current pastor stood in front of the congregation at the end of service and asked if there were any volunteers willing to help try to keep the office going, and in particular, would someone like to volunteer to produce the weekly bulletin. This was now the second week there was no bulletin. I'm guessing it was my grief that made me do it, but I slowly raised my hand. Already having a full-time job and 2 kids under 4 would make this difficult, but I felt confident that I could do it. Now, this current pastor had been with the congregation for about 19 years at this point. I was in the first confirmation class he taught during his first year. He officiated my wedding. We knew each other very well. At first, he was very accommodating to my schedule and worked with me to make sure I had any info I needed and plenty of time to get things done. However, as time went by, a couple months, he started to become lax about providing sermon titles and hymn choices in a timely manner. I began to often find myself at the church late on Saturday evenings typing up the bulletin for Sunday morning, now all done on a computer. Thank you very much. And each time I would find a way to remind him that it would help me a lot if he would have this info available a day or 2 earlier, so I wasn't having to scramble to get this done so close to the deadline. He'd do better for a week or 2, but then it would go right back to the last-minute crap. There are many other things he would do that annoyed me, all of them entitled behaviors, but those are for another post. Now, my dad was a real character. He had a biting, sarcastic sense of humor, and you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone that would say a bad word against him. He would also be very opinionated and loved a good debate. For example, he loved when a Jehovah's Witness person would come to the door. He'd invite them in, pull out his Bible, and start arguing with them to show them proof about this or that. I doubt he ever converted any of them, but I'm positive there were 1 or 2 that left there slightly questioning what they thought they knew. So my dad's relationship with the current pastor was very good. He considered him a good friend, as well as his spiritual leader, even though they had some heated debates through the years. The majority stemming from the pastor's sense of entitlement whenever he requested a raise in salary, or when he'd start talking about needing to hire an associate pastor because there was just too much for him to do. Being in the positions he had, Dad would tell me that our pastor was already the highest paid in the region, with the smallest congregation. Again, there are many more entitled stories I could tell about this pastor, but let me get to this story. Let's finally meet the cast for this story. We've got entitled pastor, we've got me, my dad, and older brother. It's now 1999, and my dad has cancer and is in a hospice facility. I'm seeing a great new guy that dad really likes, and he knows that new guy and I are already planning on getting married, even though we're not yet officially engaged. I had even told entitled pastor that new guy and I were planning on getting married, to which he replied that before he would marry us, we would need to attend his pre-marriage classes. New guy and I weren't really thrilled about this, but we went ahead and scheduled the first class for the third Thursday in September. It's now the end of August, and my dad's health was taking a bad turn. I was there on a Saturday afternoon, and dad and I began talking about new guy and I getting married, and how even though I knew dad wouldn't be able to walk me down the aisle, I really wanted him to be there. He just looked at me and said, "You'd better hurry then." I gave him a kiss, promised him I would, and burst into tears the moment I got home, telling new guy I was afraid there was no way my dad would make it until the wedding. New guy just wiped away my tears and said he would make sure my dad would see us get married. Suddenly, we're planning a wedding to be held at the hospice facility on Wednesday evening, just 4 days away. New guy went into mad planning mode. We divided the tasks that needed to get done so that it would be more like a real wedding event and not just the pastor and us in my dad's hospice room. We invited a few family members. I bought a dress, just an off-white lace short dress, not a full bridal gown, and I called entitled pastor to let him know what was happening. Here's how the conversation went. "Hey, entitled pastor. Sorry I missed service this morning. Dad took a bad turn last evening, and I didn't get home until very late, so I overslept and woke up about an hour late. Hopefully, one of the church elders found the bulletins okay?"
Yes, no problem. Have you talked to Dad today? How's he doing?
"Not yet. New guy and I are getting ready to head over to the hospice now. So, by the way, new guy and I have decided to get married ASAP so that Dad can be a part of it. We're planning it for Wednesday evening at 7 p.m.
I'm sorry, I won't be able to do that."
Being the church secretary, I had access to his calendar, and even though he had a district minister's meeting on Wednesday night, I knew he had skipped this meeting for just about any reason he could find in the past. So when he said he wouldn't marry us, I assumed he was saying this because of this meeting, so I started laughing because I was sure he was joking.
What's so funny?
"Okay, yeah, because you've never missed that district meeting before."
It has nothing to do with the district meeting.
I'm beginning to realize that he wasn't joking. "Okay, then what's up?"
You guys haven't taken my classes yet.
"Are you serious? I know we haven't taken them yet, but we've already scheduled them and still plan on taking them, but my dad is not likely to live much longer, and I want him to be a part of me marrying new guy, so I was assuming you would be willing to go ahead with this ceremony, given the extenuating circumstances."
I'm sorry, but no, I won't marry you until you take the classes.
Just to clarify, there were 4 classes, each one about an hour and a half. Considering the new guy and I still had to work our regular jobs, there was simply no way we could take the classes before Wednesday evening, even if we wanted to. After a few more minutes of me trying to persuade entitled pastor to change his mind and finally giving up, we hung up. I burst into tears, sobbing uncontrollably. New guy rushes into the room, panicked, asking what's wrong. Between sobs, I slowly managed to tell him about my conversation with entitled pastor and started crying harder again because I assumed that this means we won't be able to get married in time for my dad to see it. New guy will have none of this nonsense and suggests I call my brother. I call him up and ask about the wedding on Wednesday. I slowly explain what's happened, trying unsuccessfully to not start crying again. "Do you think there is any way your pastor would be available to marry us?" "Okay, I will call him right away and find out. My guess is he will be more than happy to help. I'll call you right back." Older brother never could stand to hear his baby sister crying. He calls back less than 10 minutes later and tells me that his pastor said he would absolutely do it. He had a meeting scheduled, same meeting that entitled pastor usually skips, but said it was no problem to miss it. It's now Monday evening and I'm visiting my dad at hospice. I tell him that new guy and I are getting married on Wednesday evening and then mention that entitled pastor is not doing the ceremony. He asked why, and I gave a quick answer about the classes and laughed it off. He got a stern look on his face, but didn't say anything more about it. Now this next part took place after I left that evening, But older brother relayed this conversation to me in great detail, so here it goes. Dad says, "Son, I have something very important to tell you, and I'm being completely serious." My brother is shaken because Dad's tone is very unusual. "Okay, what's up?" "When I die, I don't want Entitled Pastor to have anything to do with my funeral. Absolutely nothing. You handle it however you need to, as long as Entitled Pastor does not participate in any way." "Okay, whatever you say, I understand." Older brother went on to reassure Dad that his pastor was stepping in and everything would be handled. Before he left for the evening, Dad, in a much weaker tone because his pain meds were kicking in, told my brother again that Entitled Pastor could have nothing to do with his funeral service. Period. Older brother again reassured him that he would see to it. Older brother immediately called me when he got home and told me what Dad had said. We kind of chuckled at Dad getting the last word in his final debate with Entitled Pastor, but I felt a bit guilty that their friendship was basically over because of me. I had a brief conversation with Dad about it on Tuesday evening, but not much of one because his condition was worsening and his pain meds were being administered at higher doses, so he was more out of it than in. So Wednesday night comes. The weather was unseasonably gorgeous, and we are even able to hold the ceremony on the little patio right outside Dad's room, rolling his bed out onto the patio. His eyes were closed for the majority of the time, so I wasn't sure he was really aware of what was going on. But when the pastor asked us all to join in the Lord's Prayer, Dad's lips were moving as he recited every word. He perked up for a few minutes after the ceremony, and he and I talked for a few seconds. He thanked me for making sure he was included, told me he loved me, and he was glad new guy would be around to take care of me. I told him I loved him too. It was a bittersweet moment, and the last words we would speak to each other. My dad passed away 3 days later. I did not go to see him because new guy and I both got sick, and when I called to try to talk to him, the hospice nurse told me that he was sleeping and pretty heavily medicated now. New guy had planned a short weekend trip for he and I, along with my 2 children, to go to a state park in a neighboring state and stay in a cabin. Not really a honeymoon, but at least a little getaway to celebrate our getting married. Unfortunately, we only stayed Friday night. I got the call from my brother on Saturday morning that Dad had passed away, so we headed right back. During our drive back, older brother got a call from Entitled Pastor saying that he had heard Dad was gone. He proceeded to tell my brother that he thought the funeral service should be scheduled for Monday and asked him to call the funeral home to make the arrangements accordingly. Here's how that conversation went, and where the most disgusting display of entitlement happens. "Sorry, Entitled Pastor, but we won't be having the church service at," insert church name here, "and you won't be officiating at the gravesite funeral service either." "What? What do you mean?" Dad was very, very clear that he wanted you to have absolutely nothing to do with any of it. "Why would he say that?" "When my sister told him of you refusing to marry her and new guy because they haven't yet taken your classes, he decided he wanted nothing more to do with you." "Oh, that's not what I said. Your sister misunderstood me. I had a very important meeting for Wednesday night, since this was planned so last minute. I just couldn't change my plans. I'm sure if he knew..." My brother totally cuts him off. "You mean the same meeting that my church's pastor was scheduled to attend, but skipped to perform the ceremony? The same meeting you've skipped more times than you've attended? You mean the meeting that you in fact did not attend anyway?" Older brother later told me he didn't really know that for sure, but bluffed and was actually right. He never did go. Entitled Pastor stammers for a few seconds. "Well, I think you should still have everything here at our church. The rest of the congregation won't understand if you don't let me do it, and it's not held here." So, you're asking me to go against my dad's dying wish, one he was very specific about? "Yes, he was probably just so medicated that he didn't really understand what he was saying." "Oh no, he was extremely lucid, and I asked him several times, just to be sure. He said no." "But the other members of the congregation won't get a chance to pay their last respects." Again, you're seriously asking me to disregard his dying wishes? "Believe me, we'll make sure everyone knows exactly what's going on," he said very emphatically. "Besides, you knew the man well. Would you really want to have him haunting you from the grave for disobeying his wish? I know I don't, and I won't have to worry about it because this discussion is over." Older brother's pastor officiated the funeral service at the funeral home and the graveyard service. This funeral home was packed to capacity with all the members of the congregation in attendance. I resigned from being the church secretary the day after the funeral. There was no way I could work for entitled pastor at that point. I transferred my church membership to another church in my town a couple months later and never set foot in what had been the only church I had ever known again. I heard that entitled pastor requested to be moved to another church in his home state a few months later. Seemed he had lost the respect of most of the congregation. I have had several calls from members of that congregation telling me that entitled pastor was gone and asking me to come back. Not to be secretary, just come back to us. I told them I would think about it, but I haven't gone back since. Just too many bad feelings there for me. And our final story of the day.
How dare you not give me cigarettes?
Hey Mr. Reddit, I am a longtime viewer and reader on your channels. I really like your content and have been lurking for a bit, till I got a story of my own. I'll censor out the bad words to make it clean for your younger audiences. The cast. We've got our entitled mom, Karen. We've got me, OP. We've got the store manager, the assistant store manager, the cool guy behind the Karen, and the cool lady behind the Karen, and my coworker, who was off the clock, along with a nice old lady. A little backstory. I work at a retail store I'll call XYZ from here on, and have been working here for a little over 2 months. I get a lot of older customers wanting tobacco products all the time, and I must ask for identification. It's the law in my state. This happened a few times before with entitled mom, but she had never blown up this bad. I guess she didn't get in her fill of OJ or someone peed in it. I don't know, but back to the story. It was a fairly normal day of me greeting my regular customers and other customers who would soon become regulars of XYZ. It was near the end of my shift. I had about an hour left. Then I felt it. My customer service senses were tingling. The doorbell goes off as she enters. I groan internally because I know what she's here for. I put on my best customer service smile. Hello, welcome to XYZ. I continue to ring up the nice old lady in the front of the line and she goes to the back. Keep in mind, please, I like to talk to my customers and hope that I can make their day better. A few customers down the line, I can hear her complaining to someone on the phone about the wait.
Oh my freaking gosh. This jerk is taking forever to ring up the customers, and all I want is a pack of smokes.
Cool guy and cool lady hear this and let her in front of them. I am almost done with nice old lady, and she slams her hand down on the counter to get my attention.
Marlboro Lights in a soft pack, please.
She is already grabbing for her money, but I am not done with nice old lady yet. About this time, coworker is behind me. I guess his customer service senses were tingling too. Nice old lady tells entitled mom.
Excuse me, I was talking to this wonderful little girl. Could you please be a little more respectful? I'll be using my credit card, sweetie.
Ma'am, I will get you your smokes in a moment. Please have your ID ready. I press a button on my keyboard so that nice old lady can use her credit card and proceed to ask her about her puppies and family. She was getting dog food and had told me about her family on previous visits. Entitled mom doesn't say anything else until nice old lady leaves the store.
I would like my smokes now.
She has her hand on her hip and is glaring at me. Like I said before, I have had issues with her not having any kind of identification before, so I figured it would be the same this time. She looks old enough to buy them, but I must have ID to verify. I haven't moved yet. May I see your ID, please, ma'am? I kid you not, she blows up.
I should not have to show my ID. I am 62 years old and have 5 children to show for it. People have been disrespectful to me all day, and I don't need your crap. Give me my smokes. How dare you not give me my cigarettes?
I don't like confrontation, so I'm very sheepish about this. I say in a very quiet voice and a bit of stuttering. I am very sorry, ma'am, but I cannot sell you smokes without proper identification. Store manager and assistant store manager come to the register, probably because of the commotion.
Finally, someone who can help me. I would like some smokes, and she won't give them to me. I am 62 years of age, and she can't do the math to get them for me.
Oh? Do you have your ID, ma'am?
What? Heck no.
Then she can't sell you them, ma'am. It says on our door that we card. It's the law. Entitled mom gets even redder and starts yelling swears at me and my coworkers. I have no idea what it was, but something inside me snapped. I have had bad experiences and been treated horribly in the past. I wasn't going to take this anymore. Everything I've ever wanted to say to anyone came out, and I remember exactly what I said, surprisingly. I have had enough. You will not yell at me or my coworkers. I was nice to you in the past, and I have always been polite to you. I am not a doormat, and neither are my friends or family. I will not be bullied by you anymore, and you will leave my store right now before I call the police, and you will be arrested for disturbing the peace. The store was quiet, and I had tears running down my face. She didn't say anything and booked it out of my store. My coworkers tried to get me to leave the register, but I refused. They went back to what they were doing, and customers went back to shopping. Cool guy and cool lady approached the register and congratulated me on my bravery. I felt horrible, but relieved that I protected my store and my coworkers. I dealt with an issue that I had been putting off for weeks, and I have a feeling I won't be seeing her ever again. Entitled Mother and Daughter Get Blacklisted. I work for a bath and body company, not Bath and Body Works, and I obviously won't be naming this company, but they are on the high-end range. With it being an expensive brand, you can guess that it's not uncommon that we come across entitled people in general. For this story, it's a mother-daughter duo. The usual, I'm on mobile, and the English is my first language, but I'm sure mistakes will be made. We've got entitled mother, entitled daughter, me, manager, and our corporate worker. This happened on Friday the 10th of this month, May, so it was the last business day before Mother's Day. This call took place at around 2 a.m. We are a 24-hour call center, so the only day we are closed is Christmas Day. Anyway, let me actually get to what happened now. Me. It's a great day at our store. My name is Arkalichi. How may I assist you today?
It's about darn time someone there answered the phone. What have you been doing? Clearly not your job.
I instantly mute myself, sigh, and roll my eyes, as I can already tell how this phone call is going to go. Also, after midnight, we don't get many phone calls, and only myself and another person were working as per our usual. Neither of our phones had rang since just after midnight, so I knew she was BSing. I'm so sorry about your wait, ma'am. How may I assist you this evening?
I want to know when my mother's order is going to be delivered. I paid extra for overnight shipping, and I haven't received the shipping email yet.
Of course. May I have your order number? She rattles off the number. I place her on hold as our system was running a bit slow, and I honestly didn't want to listen to her complain about the wait. Anyway, I see the order is sitting unprinted in our system and sigh again. I check the time the order was placed, and it was around 4:30 p.m. that afternoon, which was past our cutoff time of 2 p.m. Eastern for overnight and second-day shipping. I double-check everything, including the price of the order, which was $65, as our current promo granted free second day or $5 overnight, as well as a free full-sized item that had been pre-selected. I take a moment to brace myself before I come back on the line. I see here that the order was placed around 4:30 this afternoon. Is that correct?
Yes, but that doesn't matter. Don't ask me stupid questions.
I'm sorry, ma'am. I was just double-checking the information, as unfortunately, our cutoff time for expedited shipping is 2 p.m. Eastern. This order has not been shipped and will not ship out until Monday morning. So as... She cuts me off and started screaming about how I need to ship it that instant and it is to be delivered by 8 a.m. Saturday morning or she would have me fired. I'm so sorry, ma'am, but there is no way for us to be able to do that. But I can have your shipping fee refunded, and I can send out 2 more of the free full-sized items as an appeasement for this mishap.
I want a manager.
Now, I'm not technically the manager, but as I work night shift, we do not have a manager on during our night shifts. This being said, both of my managers will task the person with the most experience as the manager when they are not there. With it only being me and my coworker, I was that person, having worked here for just about 5 years now, and my coworker had only started working back in November of 2018. I am the manager, ma'am. However, if you would like to speak with another manager, I can take your contact information and have one of them call you in the morning. She scoffs and starts cussing me out, and I mean this lady was seriously calling me every name in the book. Our company, while they love to cater to whatever customers want, allows us to hang up on customers who are acting like this woman was. Ma'am, if you continue to curse at me, I will disconnect this call.
You will be doing no such thing, you little jerk. How dare you think you can hang up on a paying customer who has been with your company since the beginning? I will have you thrown in jail for assaulting me.
I rolled my eyes again because she was trying to threaten me with something that would never work in hopes that I would listen. I'm sorry, ma'am, but I am disconnecting this call and forwarding the timestamps to other managers as our calls are recorded. You have a wonderful rest of your evening. And I hang up. I knew this wasn't the end of it, and I told my coworker what had happened and noted our system, as per our policy, about the issue and told my coworker she could go on her break so that I would be the one to get the call if she did call back. Me, mandatory phone greeting. How may I assist you?
Some rude rep just hung up on my daughter, and now she is crying. What are you going to do about this?
I'm so sorry about that, ma'am. May I have the name or order number for your daughter so I can see who she last spoke with? I already knew it was me, but I played along and looked up the number just for giggles. Yes, ma'am. I see here that I was the one who spoke with your daughter. However, she was cursing and screaming at me, and per our policy, we are allowed to hang up after informing the customer we are going to do so, which I did.
How dare you, you little jerk.
Here we go again, I think to myself, and mute my end of the phone, and just let her rant and rage at me for a good 20 minutes. I'm not even joking. I wish I were. I don't even think she took one solid breath the whole time.
So, what are you going to do to fix this?
As I told your daughter before, I can refund the shipping cost and send 2 extra free full-sized items as a one-time appeasement. However, the order will not be arriving until Tuesday, as it won't be shipped until Monday.
That's not good enough. I want our whole order refunded and demand it be here tomorrow morning.
I understand your frustration. However, that is simply impossible to do, as our last UPS pickup was at 5 p.m. earlier this evening, and they won't be picking up from us again until Monday morning. If you would like, I can have your order canceled, but still send the free full-sized promos as promised so you may purchase your paid items at your local store tomorrow when they open. We aren't allowed to refund a full purchase and still send the items out without manager approval. And while I'm acting manager, I didn't feel comfortable with refunding it without someone else's go-ahead.
I want your manager.
She huffs, and I give her the same rundown I gave her daughter, but I gave both my managers hours for the next day, so she knew exactly when to call. She screams like a banshee and tells me how I'm going to be fired and won't ever be allowed to work in customer service ever again, and she hangs up. I sigh in relief of finally being off of the phone with them and note my system once more before sending a lengthy email to both managers telling them the whole situation as well as the times of both calls, as I know they will want to listen to them. Even though I didn't want to, I went ahead and sent out 3 of the full-sized promos in the email stating I would refund the shipping once the order had been posted, as I couldn't do it until then. They don't call back again during my shift, and I just forget about the whole thing and go about my day at home. I come back in for my shift the next night, and only one of the managers is in, which is the usual as our second manager works an earlier shift, so she's always off by the time I come in. Anyway, we will just call her Manager for simplicity. Manager calls me into the office, and I immediately know what for, and I ask her if it was about entitled daughter and entitled mom, and she tells me yes. She's smiling, so I know that I'm not in any kind of trouble. She tells me that they had called in. Yes, both of them on the same line, so they had it on speaker so they could both talk and listen. She tells me how they completely lied about the incident and said that they had called in just to get a refund on the shipping, but I had started yelling and cursing at them. Yes, you heard that right. I guess entitled daughter forgot I told her the calls were recorded, and when confronted with that and manager 1 telling them that she had listened to both calls and that I hadn't done what they said I did, entitled mom yells and says she knows the owner and founder of the company and will have both of us fired. At this point, she just plays the recording of her call with them, and it goes like this. Manager: Wow, you know our owner? That's amazing. Her voice was sickly sweet, and I couldn't help but laugh.
Yes, I do, and I'm calling him right now from my daughter's phone.
Sure enough, she calls someone, definitely not the owner of the company, and has this woman claim to be the owner, and tells us that we are both fired and to pack up our things immediately. Manager actually laughed at this, like on the phone laughed at this woman. I'm sorry, ma'am, But you are most definitely not the owner of this company. Our founder, is a male, and he unfortunately died a few years ago now. If you had done a quick Google search, you would know this. She pauses for a moment, as both entitled mom and entitled daughter are sputtering, trying to find a way to backpedal out of the mess they made. If you'll hold for just one moment, I will be forwarding you to our corporate office so they can deal with the situation however they choose. So she does, and before she transfers them over, she tells the corporate worker the whole situation, and she also laughs at this, tells manager to send them over, but to stay on the line so she can assist just in case our corporate office doesn't have access to our systems, so she couldn't see anything related to the order in question. Entitled mom and entitled daughter once again try and lie, not knowing that manager was still on the call. But corporate worker quickly shuts them down and informs them that they will be canceling their order as well as the shipment of free items I had sent to them. They will be blacklisting both of their online accounts so they won't be able to purchase from our online site anymore. They once again tried to pull the
I know the owner, and I'll have you fired
card, but corporate worker quickly shut them down and informed them again that he had been dead for a few years at this point, but if they were able to contact him from beyond the grave, that they should tell him corporate worker said hello and we all miss you, as corporate worker actually knew the owner from his multiple meetings and various other events they held in the past. They hung up pretty quickly after that, and corporate worker and manager 1 had a good laugh about it, while manager canceled the orders and gave corporate worker the information she needed on her end. It felt really good to hear all of this, because as I've stated before, my company is very quick to just give someone whatever they want the second they become irate. I'm glad someone finally put their foot down to at least these two complete jerks, even if I wasn't the one to be able to do it. I'm so sick and tired of these people who treat someone in customer service or anyone in general like complete trash because they can't change a policy or do anything at all because it's impossible to do it. I would have been more than happy to help them, even after they yelled, had I actually had something to help them with. This definitely isn't the first time I've encountered people, and I have a ton of other stories I could tell, but I told this one as it was the most recent one that was this bad. Next we've got neighbor lady risks injury, not really, to accuse me of setting venomous snakes loose in the neighborhood. Well, Mr. Reddit, I'm a longtime listener to your YouTube channel, a recent subscriber, and now a poster to your subreddit. I posted this story in rSlash about Kevin, but it's probably a perfect story for you to read on YouTube, and you have my full permission. This is probably the most surreal WTF encounter I've ever had with another person, and it still leaves me baffled how some people can be so unintelligent. This also proves that Karens can double as Kevins. This Karen wasn't necessarily entitled, just completely clueless about the stupid assumptions and decisions she made. This took place last summer. So I was dropping my son off at my parents' on my way to work as my normal sitter wasn't able to watch him that day. I haven't lived at their house in more than 10 years. Before I got married and moved out, I had a small zoo of exotic pets that I kept. Corn snakes, a bearded dragon, geckos, scorpions, tarantulas, giant millipedes, rats. The neighborhood kids knew I had an interesting collection that they were welcome to see whenever I was home. This collection is no longer there, as I rehomed nearly all of them when the wife and kids became my top priority. This background is important to my encounter with Daft Neighbor Lady, who I shall refer to as DNL. I'm about to get into my car when Neighbor Lady approaches me. She says accusingly,
I found one of your rattlesnakes.
Excuse me?
One of your rattlesnakes. It must have escaped and I found it.
I never had any pet rattlesnakes.
Weren't you the one with all the reptiles?
Yes, but I never had any venomous ones, and that was more than 10 years ago. She says accusingly again.
Don't all reptile keepers have poisonous snakes?
No, it's not a requirement to keep venomous snakes if you keep reptiles. She looks genuinely confused as I explained this to her, like she thought it was a requirement to keep venomous snakes if you keep reptiles.
Well, it must be someone's pet then. We don't have native rattlesnakes around here.
We live in Utah, as a side note. We do have native rattlesnakes. I've never heard of one this far into city limits, but I guess they could wander this far into town if they were desperate for food. Where did you see it? Can you show me? I'm already running late, but this is a busy neighborhood where a lot of kids play in the local vacant lots, and if there is a rattlesnake, I'm willing to be late to work while I make sure animal control removes a potentially dangerous snake. Neighbor lady hands me a plastic grocery sack with something squirming in it.
I've got the rattlesnake right here.
I look at her with a flabbergasted expression on my face. I cautiously take the bag, holding it by the tips of the handles, trying to avoid contact with a snake of dubious identification. If it is a rattlesnake, even if it can't see me, its heat-sensing pits will still let it know exactly where I am. I slowly open the bag and see its contents. It's nothing more than a baby garter snake. I'm shaking my head. This is nothing more than a garter snake.
It can't be. It isn't patterned like a garter snake.
Our local garter snakes have one stripe on each side and a checkered pattern on their backs. This snake has round pupils, while rattlesnakes have elliptical pupils like a cat. This is definitely a garter snake. It was a western terrestrial garter snake. Neighbor lady is looking at me like I just said the sky is purple.
You're positive it's a garter snake?
100%.
Well, what do I do with it? Do I need to contact animal control?
Why would you need to contact animal control? Just let it go in the vacant lot down the street.
Well, this has to be someone's pet. Snakes can't live in city limits.
Exasperation now clear in my tone. They can live in city limits. This one is just a baby and was probably born in that lot over there earlier in the year, and he probably wandered out looking for slugs or earthworms. Put him back in the vacant lot and he'll be fine. She wanders off to let the snake go. I get in my car and go to work, and with that, the weirdest encounter of my life is over. Now, I don't blame neighbor lady for not being able to correctly identify a snake. Heck, even experts have incorrectly identified venomous snakes as being harmless and have been injured by them. But this is not what neighbor lady did. She spotted a harmless snake, was absolutely certain that it was dangerous, and stuffed it into a plastic grocery bag. I regret not looking her in the face and asking point blank, "You picked up what you assumed was a venomous snake with your bare hands and stuffed it into a plastic grocery bag?" If she reacts to all various hazards of life with the same absurd lack of caution as an encounter with what she was sure was a rattlesnake, she's going to wind up earning a Darwin Award. And on a final note, there was one bit of stupidity from her that I found offensive. The assumption that everyone who has pet reptiles keeps venomous snakes. I can't even begin to fathom what would make her come to that assumption and run with it like it's fact. The other completely dumb point was the fact she honestly thought snakes couldn't live in city limits. I would also have excused this if not for the fact that neighborhood children had been catching lizards and garter snakes in the nearby vacant lot and keeping them as temporary pets for 15 years, including her own children. How she failed to observe this in all that time just leaves me flabbergasted. And our final story of the day.
You're just a security officer. You don't need that body cam. Give it to my entitled son.
Hey, Mr. Reddit. Feel free to use my story 100%. Backstory. I'm a security officer for a small security company out of Las Vegas, Nevada, with generally one location that I work out of. Characters. We've got the entitled mom, entitled son, and me. I work the graveyard shift for this one location for the security company I'm employed by. Hours are slightly different from day to day. Last night's shift was my 1800 to 0200, 6 p.m. to 2 a.m. Now, this apartment complex has families with kids in the complex, but me working graveyard shift, I don't normally see any of them. Until last night, that is. So I'm doing one of my many foot patrols on the first floor. Walking towards me is entitled mom and entitled son. Entitled son stops entitled mom and points at something. I found out at this moment it was my new body cam. Conversation went like this.
Mommy, I want that. Okay, entitled son. Hold on. Hey, you. Give my son your body camera thing you have on. He's bored.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but it's not a toy, so I can't let entitled son play with it. He can look, but not touch. I would learn rather quickly this was a big mistake.
Oh, come on. You're just a security guard. You don't need that thing. Give it to entitled son. He's been such a good kid today. He deserves to have your body camera.
As entitled mom begins reaching for my body cam on my chest. What the heck do you think you're doing, lady? I've already explained to you that this isn't a toy. So again, no, you can't have it to give to entitled son to play with. It's my property, not even the company I work for.
How dare you talk to me that way? I'll have you removed from here and fired from your job. I bet you can't even get a real job. Now give me that darn thing right now.
As entitled mom again tries reaching for my body cam, I've decided that I've restrained myself enough. I then grab her hand that she's using to grab at my body cam with and begin using painful compliance by bending her hand backwards. Now I'm explaining this to you for the last time, entitled mom. Stop reaching for my body cam. All the while, entitled son is telling me to let entitled mom go. I will, as soon as entitled mom stops trying to get my body cam. Finally, I let entitled mom go after a few minutes of painful compliance. Her response?
You will regret doing that. I'll have you fired for this. Good luck finding work anywhere else, jerk reject cop.
Now, unfortunately, the battery in my body cam had died a little bit before this incident, and without my external battery pack, the camera wasn't rolling. But she didn't know that. Yeah, okay, entitled mom. Good luck with that, as I point to the body cam, playing it off like it was still on. She didn't call my bluff, but then again, I didn't need her to. I'd find out the next day on my shift that the apartment door this happened in front of turned out to have a video doorbell camera, and it caught the whole thing. Turns out, this was the lady's third time doing something similar to this and is now facing eviction. Safe to say, I got the last laugh. And big thank you to the resident of that apartment with the doorbell cam. Karen's daughter bullies other kids, and I have to get suspended for it. A little background. I'm not a teacher, and I graduated just last year, but I am working for a school for a year. In our school, we have a club where the students can make their own movie. I just supervise them, and they're doing a pretty good job. In the club are 10 students, all from 5th and 6th grade. Normally, I'm not allowed to supervise them without a teacher, but the teacher who is responsible for me is in the next room with his class, and he can hear anything we are doing and sometimes comes to check if everything is okay. Last week, everyone was really into their work, except one. Mean little girl who was always making trouble, like pushing the others, calling them names, screaming for no reason, and even tried to fight with me. Every time she had her special 10 minutes, I could control her more or less, but this time it was enough. She took the school bag of Sweet Girl and threw it out of the window because Sweet Girl didn't want to help with the music. I was shocked. I knew the principal wasn't there anymore, and I looked for the teacher next door. We discussed it, and he concluded that we can't allow her to be part of the club anymore. I took the girl and went with her into another room because the rest of the club didn't want her in the room anymore. She wouldn't give me the number of her parents, so I told her that she should call them so we can clarify this situation with Sweet Girl and her parents. I went to Sweet Girl for a second to look if everything else was okay, and after a boy brought her her school bag, she was fine. I got back to the little mean girl, and that grin on her face said everything. I don't know what she told her parents, but I knew that I had a problem. Half an hour later, the mom came. We'll call her Karen. She was big, and when I say big, I mean big. Can you imagine when a bull looks at you with fire in his eyes and smoke comes out of his nose? Karen looked exactly like this bull. This was also the moment when the little girl started to cry and ran to her mom. I looked at the mom, looked at the other kids, closed the door so the kids wouldn't hear everything, said a little prayer, and went to the mom.
Where is the teacher?
Hello, ma'am. My name is OP. I was supervising the kids.
No, you are lying. You are only a student. Get the teacher now.
I get your confusion, but I am no student. I am working for the school and will discuss the problem with you.
You dumb little girl. How should I talk with you about this crap? You are maybe in 8th grade.
I am obviously not. I think you shouldn't be so rude to me, and maybe you don't want to swear in front of your daughter? I hate it when someone swears in front of little kids. I see how they want to be like the older ones, and when they swear, the kids will do it too. I love swearing, but not in front of them. Karen looked shocked at her daughter, who she held by the hand. She looked at her and then at me. Her face turned bright red.
Don't tell me how to raise my child.
Well, now I got a little scared, especially because Karen got really calm.
So, you supervised them?
Yes.
And you don't want my daughter to be part of your club anymore?
Well, it isn't that. But
You should apologize, because it is obviously your fault. You didn't do your job. When someone would have died, it would have been your fault.
I tried to stop little mean girl, but she wouldn't listen to me, and before I could grab the bag, it was already outside. I don't really know what to say, but I would have loved it if we had security. Well, maybe your daughter shouldn't throw things out of the window.
My daughter can do whatever she wants.
Yeah, I see. I think we should get someone or discuss it tomorrow. I don't think this gets to anything. I wanted to turn around, but Karen grabbed at me.
No, you wanted me to be here, so I am here. Apologize to me and my daughter.
No, why should I?
And give her the leading role.
The kids are working on this for 8 months. We won't change anything now.
Then I will talk with the principal, and I will get you suspended.
Again, I am not a student.
You're such a liar. I don't understand why I have to work with idiots all the time. Now, listen. I was a pretty good actress when I was young, and I know that my daughter has talent. So, let her use her talent. You have no idea. You are just a lying little student. I will get you suspended.
Now I know where her daughter got the screaming from. Enter Mom from Sweet Girl. We'll call her Mary. Mary says, Karen, long time no see.
Mary?
So, your daughter threw my daughter's school bag out of the window again. I didn't know that this had already happened some time ago, but I was really interested in what would happen next. Do you want to apologize to this young lady and we both discuss it like grown-ups? Or should I talk to your husband again? Oh, sorry, I mean ex-husband. Karen was quiet. Did you ever see a quiet Karen? I got goosebumps. Did you lose your tongue?
You have no idea what happened. This is none of your business.
Oh, really? Well, we both have a little history, right? Do you really want to warm this up again? I asked the principal about this on the next day, and he told me that Mary was a friend of Karen's now ex-husband, and she was the lawyer who helped him with the divorce. The two girls get into fights pretty often because Karen tells her daughter that it was Mary's fault that they divorced, and then she wasn't sure if Sweet Girl wasn't the daughter of her ex-husband too. Karen picked her daughter up and walked away without a word. Mary got the daughter and then went to get ice cream. I did the same with the whole club next week. The teacher who was responsible for me apologized like 100 times. He couldn't step in because he had a personal problem and had to end his class earlier. Note: Karen did try to get me suspended, but the principal knows me and knows that I am not an awful person and that I am not a student. Next up we've got, I think my mom is insane. Where do I even begin? What drove me to finally make this post is that she tried to teach me how cashing in checks works and got upset when I did not know the things she was there to teach me. She is a person who is completely detached from reality. I do not rely on her for help because she will almost always manage to screw it up royally. I remember I once had trouble printing a Word document because the printer was malfunctioning, so I asked her for help. She proceeded to mess around in Word and then got mad at me when I told her Word doesn't have anything to do with it.
Do you want my help or not?
Anytime she makes a mistake, she will never, ever say,
You're right, I'm sorry.
She will get angry, and then maybe a few hours later she'll calm down and admit error, after she went off on me or other members of her family. She often ruins family dinners, because whenever my grandma says something wrong, factual errors, maybe morally objectionable statements, she harasses her nonstop, and when somebody tells her to stop, she says,
I'm the mother and you're the child.
Or,
don't stick your nose in other people's business. Ignore what we're saying.
Which is obviously much easier said than done. I actually went and cried twice as a little kid during those family dinners, and the person who consulted me was my grandma. Not her. She often tells me of how much of a bad parent my grandma was, and doesn't stop when I tell her I don't want her forcibly steering me against my grandma. She often says she doesn't care about anybody, yet my grandma calls me regularly to ask how I'm doing. My grandma is kind of an airhead, but that does not excuse my mother's behavior. I actually had depression ages 15 to 16, with one of my main reasons being how much I dreaded family gatherings and being around my mom, and she knew that. She did not tone down her behavior very much, despite knowing it drove me to very dark places. On the subject of not admitting to mistakes, I would like to point out how often she falls asleep in front of the TV or in her bed. When I ask her to wake up so she can make me dinner, I'll elaborate on why I need to do that later. She keeps saying things like,
5 more minutes.
Whenever she falls asleep in front of the TV, I ask her what she's watching. She does not know what show is even on, yet she keeps relentlessly saying she's watching it and to not bother her. The TV is always on, even if she's not asleep. She would often go out to the balcony and close the door behind her. The balcony is pretty much shielded from any sound coming from the rest of the apartment that way. Whenever this happens, I keep thinking of the poor person that needs to pay the electric bill, because guess what? It's not her. Oh, and while we're still on that subject, whenever I try to give her directions when she's driving, tell her to drive more carefully, or tell her to not yell at the other drivers, she goes off on me saying I have no right to complain because I can't drive myself. I don't have a father because I was born through a sperm donation. My grandpa is my main father figure in my life. My mom doesn't work, saying she's done enough, so she gets welfare checks on account of being crippled. The only way she could actually be crippled is mentally, and leeches money off of him. It took me a while to catch on to that, so I always felt shame whenever my classmates asked what she does for a living, and I replied, I don't know. My grandfather is the #1 person I go to for help on handling my mother. He agrees with everything I say, and he might like her even less than I do. He told me not too long ago to get the heck out of there when I turn 18. He often brings up how nobody can possibly predict what her reaction to something might be. Somebody could say something to her and she'd agree. A week later, the exact same conversation might start and she'd flip out on the other person without even remembering what happened a week prior. Keep in mind, it's only me and her in the house, and her parents are our only close family. None of us three have enough courage to go up against her because we all know we'd end up with hurt feelings and no progress made. Whenever I tell her I confided in my friends or relatives in regards to her behavior, she, of course, goes off on me. I believe anybody should have the right to complain about anything and anyone, even if the complaint is not justified. Anybody who tries to counter that is a piece of crap. I want to be more independent, so I keep asking her to teach me things I don't know or tell me when she actually needs help around the house. She does not do that, and then proceeds to complain that she does everything. She actually had a conversation with my therapist about that issue, and my therapist pretty much agreed that she's contradicting herself. An example of this was the situation I described that occurred today. That's why I need to rely on her for dinner. Either I go behind her back and try to teach myself, which isn't really the safest option, or make one of the meals I can make on my own. That list is very, very short. You know how parents force their kids to eat stuff like broccoli because they know they need it to get their kids used to healthy foods? My mother didn't do that because she was afraid I'd choke and didn't even check what foods she should give to little kids. There were multiple times in my life I asked her for support so I'd have a healthier diet and would have to rely on the kindness of my PE teacher's heart to get passing grades. She didn't do that. I cannot rely on her for anything other than buying me whatever video games I want or something. The only support or help she gives me is completely material, and it's the main argument she used against me when I told her not too long ago that she's the worst person I know. One of my passions is films and film criticism. I showed her the movie La La Land, which I love, and one that I feel personally connected to in a way. She proceeded to mock the film the whole way through and laugh at it, and when we finished, her main complaints were that
It's just noise.
and
The actors were ugly.
she did not elaborate even when I politely asked her to. I remember how as a kid I told my grandpa boring things like the attack patterns of bosses in video games I liked. When I asked him if I'm boring, he said something along the lines of, "I'm listening because you enjoy these things," or something like that. I don't remember the exact wording, but I think the difference between those two people is clear. To wrap things up, I would like to bring up 3 events that will forever cement how much of a terrible person she is. 1. There was a time she asked me to go up to our grandparents' house for some gas money. I already knew by that time they were our main source of income, so I said no. I preferred if she went and did so herself. She flipped out. She constantly tried to squeeze an apology out of me, so I'd go up instead of her. I kept saying no. Eventually she did it. She went up herself. Then she decided to punish me by not letting me eat dinner that night. When I felt like hurting myself, when she found out, she argued that I didn't have the right to feel that way because there are people who suffer more than I do. I told her depression is caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain, but she didn't really care. It wasn't the last time she made that argument either. Next up we've got, Mom tried to get me arrested because her son broke into my house. Hi, I'm not really used to posting, so go easy on me. And also, I don't blame you if you don't believe it, because I didn't either. I had to pinch myself to see if I was dreaming. Also, I'm a huge fan of your videos. Well, I watch them when I occasionally use my phone. Everyone there. We've got Boy 1, Boy 2, Boy 3, Entitled Boy, Entitled Mom, Cop 1, Cop 2. Anyway, let's start with the story. About a year ago, I moved into my new house. Just about got enough to pay for it with a bit of help from my parents, and I was really happy with it. It was for sale for a year or two, so the fact I was the one who got it made me extremely joyful for the first few weeks before this event. Side note, I'm not too interested in electronics. Yeah, I have my phone and things like that, but I rarely use them, and also people say I'm weird for this, but I love the dark. I can sit in the dark for hours. It's so peaceful. Anyway, continuing. Since my house is always so dark, many people still thought it was abandoned. The house for sale sign was ripped down halfway through the first year, but to the main part, it was extremely a hot summer night, and I had a couple windows open so I could cool down, and I heard movement from the room next door. It sounded like about 3 or 4 people at the time, all wandering around the house. So I got my weapon and sat on my bed, waiting for someone to come into my room and kidnap me or whatever, but instead they went downstairs. That's odd, I said to myself after I heard them sit downstairs, so I exited my room and listened to their conversation. Entitled Brad.
Wow, this place is still really holding up well.
Boy 3.
Yeah, did you bring the stuff?
Yeah, man, got it right here.
I was furious. First, some kids broke into my house and then decided it's a drug sanctuary. Not in my house. I go downstairs and they all got up and walked back. I'm 5'7", pretty small and very skinny, unlike the rest of the men in my family, and these kids were around 5'8" to 6'2". So if I didn't have my firearm, they would have easily had the upper hand. I walked to the door and opened it. I want each of you to get out, and if I see you on my property at any time, you'll be shot. They all walked out, but I held one back. Coincidentally, it was the entitled Brad. So I kept you back to ask some questions. Whose idea was it to come here?
Me, sir. I did. I'm sorry, I won't do it ever again.
I cut him off. Yeah, I know you won't. And what's this stuff one of your buddies was on about?
It was nothing, man. I swear.
He was in tears at this point. I opened the door. Go on, get out of here before I call the cops. I should have called the cops straight away, but I was stupid and thought I could take care of myself. The next morning, bang, bang, bang. The banging was nonstop and so loud I almost crapped myself. So I go downstairs, still half asleep, when I open the door and 2 cops barge in and I see Entitled Brad and Entitled Mom walk into my house behind them.
That's him. That's the man who pulled a gun on my boy.
I'm still trying to process what's going on. What?
Don't play dumb, you little crap.
What are you on about? Sir, is it true you pulled a gun on this young man? Pulling over Entitled Brad. Wait, yeah, I did. He broke into my house last night with his friends. Entitled Brad, is this true?
No, what the heck, man? You pulled a gun on me, and now you're trying to blame me for breaking into your house? What's wrong with you? Yeah, Entitled Brad came running home crying, saying he got held at gunpoint.
Quiet down. OP, is there any proof that Entitled Brad broke in? Actually, officer, I do have proof. Pointing at security cameras I installed a week after I moved in. Entitled Brad and Entitled Mom's faces went white as snow when they saw this.
There's no need to check the cameras. He's guilty. Just take him to jail.
Quiet down, or we'll have you arrested. I bring them to my computer, And sure as heck, you can see Boy 1, Boy 2, and Boy 3 along with Entitled Brad. And then I got to my sitting room cameras to see them passing around their green, then me coming downstairs. But what I didn't see was Entitled Brad had a blade behind his back.
That's not my son. My son is a hood child.
She's screaming and fails horribly to hit me. Alright, that's all I need to see. Thank you, OP. No problem. Just make sure these two don't bother anyone, please. I don't want anyone to go through this as well. So that was my first story. Pretty unbelievable. Even writing this, it feels made up. I just don't understand how a mother and her son could be that stupid. And our final story of the day.
Are you going to give me a bag for that?
So, if you have seen one of my previous posts, you are aware that for the time being, I work at a large retail store with a big W outside, and all the store associates wear baby blue shirts. So, this happened a few months ago. I'm standing at the front registers, scanning people's items and wishing them a good day. You know, typical retail drone stuff. It was getting close to that midpoint of a long shift where you're getting sleepy and are almost out of hoots to give. That's when she walks in. Not your typical Karen, but one in the same. She was tall and dressed in PJs and open-toed sandals that she did not have the feet for at all. From here on, we've got me, Magnificent Elephant. We've got Karen, and coworker that I spill the tea with all the time. Hi, welcome to Retail Store.
Hey, do you have any stamps? I called and was told that you sold them.
Remembering that I saw some earlier and reaching into the cubby we keep them in. Yes, ma'am. I still have a few books left. How many were you needing?
4, please.
Unfortunately, it looks like I have 3 books left. Did you still want to get them? Karen looks at me confused and a bit annoyed by my statement when she sees the books of stamps in my hands.
I only need 4 stamps. How many are in a book?
I'm keeping a straight face, calm voice, and not reacting to her change in tone. My Karen senses were tingling as I answered. There are 10 in a book at a cost of $11 total. However, we only sell them in books, not individually. Karen, confusion is gone and getting visibly annoyed.
I called, and the lady I spoke to told me you sold them separately or in books.
No, ma'am. We have never sold them separately since I've been here, only as entire books. Did you still want the book? If you are willing to wait, I know that the post office will be open tomorrow and sells them separately. Keep in mind this is on a Sunday and well after noon. A small back and forth where I held my position and she maintained hers, but eventually she just gave in, as it was clear I was not fearful, cared, or was going to change my position.
I guess I will take the book. Here, I have $5 in cash and will put the rest on my card.
I'm done with this conversation, and knowing if I make any additional attempts at communication, this lady was going to call my manager and make a fuss over nothing. I scan the stamps and enter the $5 in cash, awaiting her completion of the credit card payment. All the while, the Karen is complaining. I don't remember exactly what was said, but the highlights were,
"This is such an inconvenience. You need to tell whoever it was that you only have books,"
and more things of this nature. Mind you, it takes our machine maybe 20 seconds from my initial scan of the item to process the entire payment. The entire time, I am just nodding and keeping a small smile and not saying anything. Once the payment was done, I went to hand the book of stamps, which, mind you, is both smaller and weighs less than 1/3 of a piece of printer paper, presuming she would put it in the gigantic, gaudy purse hanging from her shoulder. Y'all, this lady had the nerve, the gall, and absolute audacity to look me into the windows of my soul and say,
"Are you going to give me a bag for that?"
I paused for a moment as I was in sheer shock and was not prepared to hear that as I look at the woman trying to confirm if she was serious. She was. I put the stamps in the bag, and as I begin to hand it over to her, she snatches it and storms out. Coworker walks over to me to shoot the breeze. I tell her about the exchange with the Karen. Oh yeah, I was the one that talked to her. I clearly told her we only sold books. I shook my head and just calmly returned to work. I've told this story to everyone and at least get a good chuckle out of it. Mr. Reddit has my permission to read this or any other posts I make. Entitled Mom sues me after her son tried to steal my purse. Hi guys. Before I start, I'm from Germany and this story took place there. Please keep in mind, because A, our laws might be slightly different, and B, English isn't my first language, and if I misspell things or my grammar is wonky, that's why. So, in the early 2010s, I was trying on sneakers in a shoe store downtown with my purse lying next to me on the floor. I'm both blind and deaf on my right side, brain surgery gone wrong, but I'm okay considering the circumstances. And so I didn't even really see the teenager who sneaks up, grabs my purse, and starts booking it out of the store. If he hadn't started running, I probably wouldn't even have noticed he had taken my bag. Without really thinking, I start after him, and since I was wearing new sneakers from the store, a store clerk runs after me. The kid makes it about 200 yards before I catch up with him. Now, I didn't try to tackle him. I just wanted to grab him, and we lost our balance. Poor guy tries to catch our fall with me on top of him. He was maybe 150 pounds. I was maybe 185. And there's a sickening crunch. Textbook Galeazzi fracture. I instantly feel horrible for the chap and try to see what's wrong. I used to work as an EMT. The clerk from the shoe store is standing there staring at us, trying to figure out what just happened. Kid's clutching his arm and trying to act tough. He might even have tried to get back up and keep running, but there were too many people around us now, and he changed his mind. I asked for an ambulance to be called, but it's the police who showed up first, called by the store, and asked what happened. I explain. The store clerk explains. A few witnesses chip in. The police ask if I want to press charges, and I say something like, I think he's been punished already. Fast forward about a month. In short succession, I get 2 letters. One's informing me that the police are looking into a battering charge against me. The second is a summons into court, and I can't believe my eyes. I have been sued by the purse snatcher for damages for pain and suffering. They wanted something around €8,000 for the broken wrist. Luckily, I have an awesome lawyer, who is also my cousin, and we appear in court at the appointed time. While we wait for the case to be called, the kid sits on a bench, his arm in a brace, looking a bit sheepish. Next to his lawyer, a young guy, and henceforth Lawyer 1, stands with his mother, glaring daggers at us. We get called inside, and Lawyer 1 starts to elaborate in great detail how I threw myself on top of the kid while he was on the ground and so caused his injury, which in turn took surgery to fix. It's hard for me to keep quiet, but I bite the inside of my cheek and hold my tongue. Once Lawyer 1 is done, my cousin gets up, and the first thing she does is inform the judge that the injury was caused during a crime, explaining about the purse snatching. The judge pauses, looks at Lawyer 1, and asks if he was aware of this. He says yes, but that it shouldn't matter because in their view, I caused the injury deliberately, and therefore circumstances should not matter. As long as I wasn't defending my health, I had no right to injure him. Judge has 2 questions. Were there witnesses? And why were there no charges filed against the thief? My cousin produces statements from witnesses, the first police report of the incident, and the documentation about the suspended investigation about whether or not I should be charged for battering. She also informs the judge that the police had followed my wish and not filing charges for the theft, and explained that I felt the kid had suffered enough due to his injury. This is where entitled mom makes her first big mistake. She interrupts my cousin before she can finish and says something like,
Obviously, she was afraid she'd get in trouble for what she did to my poor child, and the police did not do their job properly.
Lawyer 1 tries to shush her and apologizes to the judge, saying that his client is clearly in emotional distress over her child's injury. Her poor child, he was 17, meanwhile sits in his chair behind Lawyer 1 and entitled mom and looks like he's trying to disappear into the floor. The judge, in an unusual move for a German court, asks the kid directly if he thinks I injured him on purpose. He sort of shrugs, and right there entitled mom makes mistake number 2.
That fat cow threw herself onto my poor child when he was lying in the street. She should be locked up.
Now, in Germany, you can't just say rude things like fat cow to someone, even if they're true, at least the fat part, especially not in court. My cousin turns around to me and silently mouths, "Wow." There's even a murmur of reaction from the 3 or so people sitting in the back of the court. Many court proceedings are open to the public in Germany. The judge looks at entitled mom, who is again being shushed by Lawyer 1, not quite as gently this time, and who stage whispers,
It's true.
When all is quiet again, Judge waits a few more seconds, just glaring at entitled mom, teacher style. Then the judge looks at lawyer 1 and asks, "Do you want to proceed with this nonsense?" Before lawyer 1 can say no, it would have made the court costs cheaper, I think, entitled mom says,
Yes.
Judge nods, declares the case dismissed, orders all costs, court and both lawyers to be paid by the claimant, and then turns to me and asks if I want to file charges for libel. My cousin nods enthusiastically, so I say yes. Judge announces she'd speed things up and asks lawyer 1 if he'll be representing entitled mom. He nods. Entitled mom seems to have lost the plot and keeps asking him what's going on. Before lawyer 1 can even explain to her what's about to happen, the judge makes it official and awards me €150 in damages and again decides that all costs and lawyer costs should be carried by entitled mom. My favorite thing about this, my lawyer is my cousin and she wouldn't have charged me more than absolutely necessary. But she's also working in a prestigious law firm with 4 partners who rake up a combined 6 PhDs, and which is not cheap. I don't remember the exact amount entitled mom ended up getting billed with, but it was a good chunk. Thanks for reading. Next we've got entitled mom demands first boarding, takes my belongings, and tries to tattle on my mom. Hello, Mr. Reddit. Hope this doesn't come across as weird. I love your videos and they're the first thing I listen to in the mornings. Thank you, Dark Amethyst. I really appreciate that. I wanted to share my first Entitled Parents story here for everyone to read. It was pretty crazy to see that these people actually exist. Enjoy. OMG, it finally happened. I was always a bit skeptical of this subreddit until it actually happened to me. You can say I'm now a firm believer in the breed known as Entitled Parents, and thankfully, I was only dealing with the mom and her daughter, looking about 18 to 19, a toddler and an infant, just sat in pure shame at what went down. This happened in the beginning of March 2019. The cast includes me, my mom, entitled mom, flight attendant, and entitled mom's eldest daughter. Sorry if it's a bit long, first time poster, so I'm not quite sure of the rules of Reddit, but here you go. Some context, backstory. Back in January of 2019, we got the news my younger brother was needing surgery after doing exceeded work at the gym and tore muscles in his left shoulder. My mom had let me know she was going to help take care of him and her elderly parents. My grandparents were also having surgery, grandma on her wrist, and grandpa was having a total knee replacement. None of this is super important, but keep this in your mind going forward. I had asked to go and bought my ticket not 10 minutes later. I don't get to see that side of my family too often, and I needed to get out of Texas for a while, and they live in Georgia. Now, this is important. I was in a boot at the time. I had also broken my navicular bone in my ankle in October of 2018, and was seemingly on the mend, but was in a constant state of discomfort. And sadly, none of the treatments I had been put through fixed the problem. I tend to be a bit accident prone, and had previously broken the foot twice. With that factor, combined with the fact I am flat-footed, a couple tendons were stretched. The third break was the one that finally did it for my poor foot, and now I too required surgery. Now with our flight confirmed, my mom would have to deal with 4 persons dealing with surgery. I can put a picture of the before and after of my foot if anyone wants to see it. I scheduled my surgery a couple days later, sometime the end of January, for Valentine's Day, 3 weeks before we left. That way I had time to get through my post-op appointment while also getting it done as soon as possible. I bought myself a knee scooter walker and was all set. Had the surgery, where they also last minute cut into my calf and severed a muscle, painful, in order to relieve tension during the healing, with strict instructions to keep my foot up off the ground always, and was non-weighting bearing for 10 weeks. Needless to say, I was in pain for quite a while. 2 weeks passed, post-op went great, got to see my incisions and stitches, got pictures of those too, was fitted with a cast, and cleared to fly a couple of days later. Now we're brought up to speed. My dad drives my mom and I to the airport, and we were all greeted very friendly-like and given priority at checking in and luggage. Got upgraded to priority pre-boarding through security and to the gate in less than 15 minutes. Security had barely anybody, shockingly. I decided to keep my scooter with me to keep it easy, and my mom and I waited for pre-boarding to be called. There were a couple of others in the pre-boarding and one very special woman, who will be our entitled mom, waiting in pre-boarding with her party of 3 other people. We're motioned forward and have our boarding passes scanned. As we head down the tunnel, I turned my head slightly, and saw the entitled mom berating the ticket scanner person on how she let a child board before her and that I was clearly not priority. Jerk, I'm on a mobility device. I cannot walk and was frankly in pain as I had not taken my meds, was planning to do so once we took off, and needed to be seated quickly. She had nothing but herself and her family. What she had that required her pre-boarding, I don't know. But the employees saw, physically, I was considered more priority. I should also note we chose an airline where you pick your own seats. Depending what time you check in for your flight determines what class you board in and in what order. We're first aboard, and we decide the second row was best as I had to leave my scooter at the aircraft door and literally hop my way to my seat, putting me in more pain. I made myself as comfortable as I could with my mom, such a saint, did what she could to make it easier. I didn't notice at first until recalling events, but the entitled mom was not behind us when pre-boarding was called and was on the plane after maybe 15 or so regular boarders made their way on the plane. I could visibly see she had trouble keeping balance and had to grab seat headrests to walk. She and her party made their way to the row directly behind us, she on the aisle, eldest daughter in the middle, toddler in the window, and infant in the eldest's lap. I was in the window with my foot elevated in the middle seat and mom in the aisle. My mom, bless her heart, was already super stressed, but mentally prepared. About the next few days on having to completely cater to 4 limited individuals, so once she was seated, she just laid back and tried to relax. Until the entitled mom fiercely grabbed my mom's headrest and jerked it back, keeping a firm hold of it, and a bit of my mom's hair, as she hoisted herself up and moved to the restroom, seemingly oblivious to what she had done. Meanwhile, people are still boarding the plane. She doesn't turn back, but my mom gives her a nasty glare. She didn't come back to her seat until about 20 minutes later. As she sits back down, she notices my setup. I had already had my turned-off laptop, headphones, and small container of DVDs set on my lap with some beef jerky. Though not striving to sleep, I had my neck pillow and a good-sized blanket as well.
Wow, you've really made yourself at home, didn't you?
Yes, she drew out the last part of the U. She said this all passive-aggressive. I just smile and nod my head. She gestures to her party and tells them to
Look at what she's got going on.
They did and praised me for coming prepared for the 2.5-hour flight. Entitled mom scoffs and mutters,
As a matter of factly,
that she was planning on getting those seats. If she had been let on first, and I surely won't need to use all of it. Whatever that meant, I'd sure find out soon. After everyone's boarded, seated, and what have you, the flight attendants do their thing with the rules. All the while, entitled mom is on her phone, laughing obnoxiously and smacking the back of my mom's seat hard. My mom is not a patient woman by any means and will not take crap from anyone. The gods must have been in this woman's favor, as before my mom could lay upon her wrath, a flight attendant comes over and politely yet firmly tells her to turn off her phone. She does so, but not without mumbling things under her breath, and I catch her saying something along the lines of, why I can have my laptop out, but she can't have her phone out. Her eldest daughter firmly told her to do as the flight attendant said. All is right in the world. For now. About an hour into the flight, my mom was asleep listening to music, and I couldn't. So I removed my blanket and neck pillow, placed them in the middle seat, and I fired up the laptop and plugged in a movie. Amid the previews, I had to pee. I woke my mom, hopped to the restroom, and did the do. My mom had again dozed while I was doing my business, and when I get back, I noticed my laptop on the play menu, but my blanket and neck pillow gone. It really took me like 10 seconds to see my stuff on Entitled Mom, pretending to be asleep. What? Seriously? Her party is fast asleep, snoring with their own blankets. I was just standing dumbfounded as this woman had the nerve to reach over the seat and just take my stuff. I had just actually stopped there in utter disbelief and only made a move when I realized the swelling in my foot was increasing as it was hanging down. A big no-no. I woke my mom, and while she stood up to let me by, she noticed Entitled Mom, then noticed my stuff was gone. Then back at Entitled Mom, looking so confused. As I sit, breathing through the growing pain, my mom, tired and upset, snatches the blanket off of Entitled Mom, causing her to flail awake. And after Entitled Mom sees what's happened, she glares dagger at my mom. The flailing woke the eldest daughter, who was seeing her mom and mine just glaring at one another. Now, this probably wasn't the best thing my mom should have said, but she was just done. My mom, all scary quiet. "If you'd like to keep that neck, I suggest you return my daughter's pillow." The Entitled Mom looks at me and proclaims that,
She isn't using it. She said I could, didn't you?
she turned to me, trying to stare me down and intimidate me, and I have a theory as to why. I look way younger than I am, 22, and by most answers I get, she probably assumed I was 12. I wish I was joking. I've been pulled over many times from such assumptions. I look back at her, and through pained breathing, I replied, "Heck no." She looked shocked that I would say that to her. She grabbed my mom's headrest and lifted herself up to shout at me.
How dare you? A child. Speak to an adult that way. Clearly you haven't been raised right.
As I quickly retort that I am an adult, and I will speak to her like one if I please. In that instant, while the Entitled Mom was looking at me, my mom reached over her back and yanked the pillow from her neck. Thankfully, Entitled Mom hadn't fastened the buttons at the end of the pillow around her neck, or else she really would have gone down. Entitled Mom screamed, waking some of the passengers trying to sleep. It was 11:30 at night, and pushed the flight attendant button. My mom takes her seat, but kept her head away from the rest in case Entitled Mom did something. Entitled Mom was hysterical.
Hello? Help! She stole my blanket and pillow. Can I get someone here, please?
All this while the eldest is trying to get her mom to calm down, but can't do much with a baby in her lap. A flight attendant came over and is trying to make heads and tails of the Entitled Mom yelling and my mom, who is now sporting a "somebody better do something or I'ma hurt this lady" look. Entitled Mom claims that we stole her neck pillow and blanket while she was sleeping, just making a scene. Though there were two factors that weren't in her favor: her daughter and the flight attendant. Her daughter was equally loud, telling her to stop, to leave us alone, that she was wrong to take what she knew wasn't hers, and that she looked stupid, what have you. Daughter was just as frustrated now, having to deal with her mother, and now a crying baby, and just gave up. Now, flight attendant had personally helped me to my seat, kept checking on me, and had witnessed me unhooking my pillow from my backpack while simultaneously pulling out my blanket and made sure I was comfortable. Flight attendant says, "Ma'am, please. I know for a fact these are hers, as I witnessed her remove these items from her backpack." She paused, and before Entitled Mom could interject, she continued. "And furthermore, she was the first one on the plane, so unless you personally know one another..." She paused and looked expectantly at me and my mom, to which we shook our heads no. She turned back to Entitled Mom. "You want me to believe she stole your belongings in plain view of everyone at the gate, and you neglected to say anything, and now decided to make a scene 30,000 feet in the air? I suggest you take your seat, and to not cause any more disturbances to her or anyone else on this flight, or I will have authorities meet us at the gate." My hero. Defeated, Entitled Mom sits and huffs and puffs, muttering and mumbling, while the flight attendant went and got my mom and I drinks, no charge. By then I had calmed down and my foot didn't hurt as bad. This doesn't end here though. Still upset, my mom busted out her adult coloring books, Google it, and furiously started coloring to cool her nerves. I very clearly hear eldest say, "Mom, I swear to God," clearly frustrated. Not a couple seconds later, the flight attendant button the row behind me flashes and my hero comes over. "You thought we were gonna get through this without this lady trying to bring her kids into it?"
Can you tell her to put that away? Do you see that? It says,
Insert adult coloring book phrases here.
"She's going to traumatize my child with that book. Put it away. Besides, coloring is for children."
Remember, she's in the aisle seat behind my mom. Her kids are in the middle and window seat. There's no way they can see her book. Flight attendant looks at my mom's book and the rather raunchy phrase my mom was coloring in, and poor mom again has that look. Flight attendant looked back at Entitled Mom and said, "Certainly, ma'am. after you explained to me how you knew exactly what was on the page when I told you to remain in your seat. Keep away from them and to not cause any more disturbances. I had not realized it, but Entitled Mom had stood up using her own headrest and looked over the seat to see what my mom was doing. I'll explain how I found this out in a bit. Entitled Mom was quiet. She knew she was busted and sank in her seat. Meanwhile, the traumatized child was fast asleep, drooling in the window seat. The flight remains quiet afterwards. We land and we're the first off the plane and head to baggage claim. My mom leaves me to go to the restroom, and at that time, eldest daughter comes up to me and profusely apologizes for her mom's behavior. She was the one who told me about Entitled Mom looking over at my mom's book, and that she's always had this sense of entitlement all her life growing up, and how she's grateful she's not like her. She waits for my mom and apologizes to her too before heading back to get her bags, and we never see them again. My brother picks us up, and my mom and I crashed from Atlanta to Athens. Of course, this story was shared during our visit. Brother's surgery went great, and looking forward to going back to visit my grandparents again. Thanks for reading. Next we've got Entitled Aunt, Controlling Lives Since 1994. What's up, Re-Army? I'm a recent subscriber to Mr. Reddit. I love the voices you do in your videos. It's absolutely hilarious. This isn't one incident in particular, but a series of incidents that makes up the story of one entitled parent's miserable life. Sorry if that doesn't fit the subreddit style, but I hope you all find it entertaining regardless. Our cast, we've got Entitled Aunt, Older Cousin, and Younger Cousin. It all started before I was born, 1994 if you didn't guess from the title. My cousin was born 5 months after I was. You see, when my mom got pregnant with me, the first grandchild, I guess my aunt, my mom's sister-in-law, couldn't handle the attention my mom was getting and went and got herself pregnant with older cousin right away. As soon as we were born, Entitled Aunt would gush over older cousin and tell my mom how much prettier older cousin was than me, specifically pointing out that I would be so cute if I had eyes like older cousin. From the very beginning, Entitled Aunt controlled her daughter's lives. She had my younger cousin a few years later. She made sure older cousin was dressed up prettier than I was as a baby, going so far as to squeeze her feet into tiny dress shoes until she cried from the discomfort. My mom didn't care about my aunt and refused to compete in this passive-aggressive competition. I'm thankful for that. Entitled Aunt went through 4 or so marriages during my childhood, one being to her own cousin. Yikes. And completely cut my cousin's father out of their lives. She went so far as to edit him out of video footage from when my cousins were babies. I should note that she's still a fan of editing these days. She didn't like that I missed our family reunion a few years ago, and, laughably badly, photoshopped a recent picture, yes, one picture, of me into all of the family photos, making sure to point out that she did it because I didn't show up, and they wished the whole family could have been together. Fast forward a few years into my childhood. I may be 4 or 5 years old, and we're at my paternal grandparents' house. I'm on the covered porch, and I see a button glowing on the wall that looked fun. I thought, and I, like any curious little kid would, pushed it. Turns out it was the button for the garage door. My grandparents were sitting at the edge of their garage, but when my grandfather noticed the door closing, at the pace of a snail I might add, he put a hand up to catch the bottom edge, and obviously it stopped. No harm done, or so I thought. Next thing I know, Entitled Aunt flings open the door to the porch and charges at me, shrieking about how I almost killed Grandma, until I started crying. From a very early age, I was intimidated by my aunt, and I can't remember a time in my life when I didn't feel uncomfortable around her. Throughout childhood, a number of small, similar incidents occur because this lady just never stops, dotting on her daughters, berating or belittling my brother and I to make us feel inferior. One time, we spent the night at our cousin's house, and while we were getting ready to leave in the morning, my brother, who still had trouble tying his laces at that age, muttered, "Damn shoe." Entitled Aunt shrieked. She completely lost it. I should note that she was religious to an extremist degree and started screaming.
Excuse me? What did you just say?
To which my brother repeated his statement meekly.
You never say words like that. That is a terrible sin. I bet you learned that from your mother.
She said mother like it was a bad taste in her mouth. Yes, She really said that my mom was a bad influence on us, notably because she wasn't religious, Entitled Aunt liked to point out. Plus, my parents were divorced and my mom had custody. We spent weekends with my dad and Entitled Aunt, unfortunately. Mom wasn't there to defend us or herself. On other occasions, when we visited the family vacation house, Entitled Aunt would bring the kind of food that kids loved. So naturally, my brother and I got excited and would ask for some. Nope. That was older cousin and younger cousin's food. We weren't allowed to share with them, and Entitled Aunt would shriek at us if we so much as touched it. I'll admit, younger cousin did have a dangerous food allergy, but everyone was careful and we didn't have a lot of food containing the allergens around anyway for that reason. There was no good excuse as to why we couldn't all share. Trust me. When we were maybe 12 or so, Entitled Aunt somehow got married for the umpteenth time to a nice man. We'll call him Nice Husband, who had 2 older daughters from a previous marriage. I remember seeing them at the wedding and the party afterwards, but not much after that. I saw them less and less until they eventually just seemed to vanish for good. My mom told me that it was really strange and that Entitled Aunt most definitely manipulated Nice Husband so that older cousin and younger cousin would be the focus of the new family. Entitled Aunt didn't want his daughters, she only wanted him to complete her family. I have a significant gap in this story, since between my mid-teens and now, I've seldom, if ever, visited that side of my family due to personal conflicts with my father. However, my mom finds the drama entertaining and kept Entitled Aunt as a friend on Facebook, and my brother and younger cousin were friends on Snapchat, so they kept me updated. To put Entitled Aunt's entitlement into perspective, the following is what I know about where my cousins are now. Older cousin got married very young and moved away. Entitled Aunt says older cousin's husband is trying to keep older cousin from her, has tracked down her biological father, and is forced to speak with him on an account hidden from Entitled Aunt. Once older cousin was out of her control, she manipulated younger cousin into attending a college close to home, claiming that it was perfect, and strangely, all the other colleges they looked at were flawed in some way or another. Last I heard, younger cousin is suffering from what I call sheltered child syndrome. When she went to college and was suddenly allowed all this freedom, she lost control and started doing bad things, and as my brother put it, is with a different guy in every Snapchat update. Sorry if I'm getting the lingo wrong, I don't use Snapchat. Not to shame her or anything, but you have to admit her behavior is risky for someone who was raised the way she was. I unfriended Entitled Aunt a while ago on Facebook due to disagreements. Recently, I had a debate with another family member on their Facebook timeline, which was deleted the next day. My family member messaged me saying that Entitled Aunt had contacted them, concerned about us fighting, and advised that they delete the whole post to preserve the family reputation. Ah, classic Entitled Aunt. It was a fresh reminder that even now, Entitled Aunt is still trying to control our every move from afar. What a miserable old jerk. Thanks for reading. Hope you enjoyed. And our final story of the day. Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid try to make me break down at work. Hey Mr. Reddit, I've been watching your videos for a bit and I love them. Keep up the good work, man. Thanks, Legends Fire. Also, I'm sorry that this is so long. If you want, you can read the Too Long Didn't Read at the bottom. Cast. We've got Entitled Mom, Entitled Kid, me, my friend, and the manager. Backstory. So there's this one jerk at my school who used to bully me, but doesn't do it anymore because I will explode now, verbally and very physically. I also deal with PTSD and long-term depression from a family incident back in 2016. Anyways, this all started when I got a part-time job at Walmart. There were a few times the Entitled Mom and Entitled Kid came, but most of the time Entitled Kid shot me a mean glance and I basically gave him a face that says, "Forget you." Then, 2 weeks ago, a few hours before school dismissed us for the week, right before rest period, the school calls it this because the classes are all fun and relaxing for the last week of school, this jerk comes up to me and tries to hit me with his hardcover copy of Diary of a Wimpy Kid. I see him, duck, and he mislands and falls. He looked like an idiot, but he got angry at me. Now for the story. A week ago, this moron, Entitled Kid, comes to my job with his mother, and I think it'll go like normal. Man, was I wrong. The Entitled Mom comes up to me and starts up a conversation by speaking like she has to establish the law.
So, I heard about what you did to my son.
What do you mean? I haven't seen him in a week.
You pushed him to the ground, you idiot.
What are you talking about?
1 week ago, moron. You probably have short-term memory loss if you can't remember.
Wait, Wednesday? Listen, your kid, entitled mom, cuts me off and yells at me for talking back.
Listen here, you little jerk. Don't push my son and don't talk back to me. Teach yourself some manners before trying anything, you stupid Pina.
Now, I'm Hispanic, and I was so close to exploding or breaking down. Then I hear my friend coming towards me, and I feel relieved. She looked at me almost red and broken as if I was gonna explode, and asks, "What's wrong?" I'm just dealing with this lady who's screaming at me because of that event from last week. Why? Because she thinks entitled kid was pushed by me, even though I'm trying to explain it. My friend turns to the entitled mom and tries to speak to her. It goes like this. Why are you yelling at him?
Because he pushed my kid a week ago at school.
No, he didn't. I saw this kid try to hit him over the head with a hardcover book. He dodged and your kid fell on his butt.
How dare you talk to me like that, young lady?
Listen, lady, I'll talk to you however I want to. I heard what you called OP. You shouldn't talk to someone about how to speak if you can't speak right either.
Yeah, but I'm your elder and I can do whatever I want.
Entitled kid comes over to start smirking like a moron and acting like he's gonna go somewhere with this. I feel enraged and I'm super close to snapping as I hear her curse out my friend. My friend is a smart aleck and comes back at her quickly. Then I yell at entitled kid. Me to entitled kid. Hey, moron! Why the heck did you lie to your whale of a mother and tell her that I pushed you when you're the one who tried stuff?
What did you say?
Oh, come on, you jerk. You heard me. My manager comes over here, knowing about everything because he's been listening the whole time. He knows about my conditions and short fuse, and he has a bad habit of doing this, thinking that if I take care of issues myself, my fuse won't be as short and I won't break down or explode as often. He talks to me and tries to cool me down. My manager says, "Calm down, son. Try breathing." Turning to the lady. "Listen, lady, don't come in here if you're just going to yell and insult my employee. Now, if you could just leave, that would be great for all of us."
You should fire him for assaulting my child at the school.
I'm sorry, ma'am, but I can't fire him for something I have no evidence of, and for something that didn't insult this store.
So you're just going to let a rowdy, stupid, and violent teen work here? You should be ashamed of yourself.
I broke. Now, here's the thing. I can break in one of two ways. Exploding or mental breakdown, anxiety attack. It all has to do with what makes me break. My PTSD causes me to explode if I'm being yelled at or insulted. My depression causes me to break down if I'm being bullied or feel sad enough or guilty, and it's also an after effect if I explode. Kind of like a drawback, but I think it helps, so I don't do something stupid. You can guess which happened. I quickly yell at this lady some really insulting things. Here's how it went.
Oh, shut the heck up, you rotten jerk. You know your donkey of a son is a jerk. He's as spoiled as his mother. Tub of lard and whale fat.
Entitled mom looks at me shocked, and entitled kid tries to walk up to me so he can fight me, and friend leaves to speak to a cashier to call the cops, and my manager radios for the same reason. The reason is because I'm very violent when I snap, and I am threatened. The worst I've done was getting myself expelled in another school for really hurting someone, which I had to notify my manager about so that he could do his best to stop it from happening again. I was charged, but I only had to pay a fine and go to a mental hospital for teens as it was self-defense, and I had the mental issues much worse back then. But back to the story. This jerk comes up to me and throws a punch at me. I grab his arm and go for his neck, grab him and take him to the ground. I look like a psycho when I break, so I knew why he was going to cry. I immediately come back to my senses and break down and let go of him as the cops enter the building. They arrest the entitled mom with harassment, and the son was charged with assault, and I was sent to my manager's office so he could talk to me. After 30 minutes of me crying and being all sorts of livid, my manager comes in and he talks to me. I accept the fact that I'm probably going to be fired and was surprised about what actually happened. "I'm sorry about what happened, OP. Are you okay? Aren't you going to fire me?" "Why would I?" "For lashing out at that jerk like I did." "No, he provoked you. Not going to lie, he deserved it. Listen, OP, if you need a break from work to get over this, you can take a week off." I denied his offer because I enjoy my part-time job and I need the money. I heard that Entitled Kid was expelled because my friend told the principal about what happened at my job and when he tried to hit me with that book. By the way, I'll update this and give answers to most questions. I'll also upload any other stories of entitled moms and revenge if I get to go through any. Entitled Kid breaks HTC Vive controller in half. Entitled Mom refuses to pay. English isn't my main language, so correct me for any mistakes. Thanks. This happened about 1.5 to 2 months ago, but I recently found this subreddit and thought about posting this story. Now, onto the story. A week before Easter, we usually do a dinner in my house where we invite me and my sister's godparents and their families along with the kids my parents are the godparents of. I am by far the oldest one, 18, and then my sister at 14. After that, it's 12 and under. So I don't really have anything to do with them, and that's why I hang out with the parents. The way the conversation was going, I started talking about VR and how realistic it is. While I was talking, my godmother's son, who is 9 years old, approaches the table. I'll refer to him as entitled Brad.
What is VR?
It's a headset that you put on your head, and it looks like you are in a different place.
Wow, cool. Can I try it?
I'm sorry, but no.
Why not?
Because you are too young for this. Entitled Brad starts talking louder.
But I want to try it.
Entitled Mom, from the other side of the table, gets up and approaches entitled Brad.
What is wrong, sweetie?
I want to play VR, but he doesn't let me.
Entitled Mom looks at me.
Why don't you allow him?
I'm getting kind of agitated, but I try to hide it. Because the equipment is extremely expensive. HTC Vive with deluxe audio strap and the TP Cast wireless receiver overall costs 600 plus 100 plus 350, so 1,050 euro. And he is too young to handle it properly.
Oh, come on. He is very mature for his age.
I have a flashback from last year where entitled Brad was purposely spilling grape juice on the carpet and then laughing when we noticed it was too late. I still don't want to risk it.
Why are you so protective over some toy?
Calling expensive gaming equipment toys is like a trigger phrase that really kicks up my anger. VR is way too expensive to be a simple toy. And now my mom notices. She gets up and approaches. My mom asks, "What's wrong?"
Your son won't allow my kid to play with his VR.
My mom wants to be a nice house guest and asks me, "Can you please let him for just 5 minutes?" I realize the odds are against me, so I give up. I let entitled Brad wear VR and I play a small experience for showcasing VR where he just watches. Midway through the experience, he removes the headset from his head and says,
Next.
"Sorry, but that's it."
But the 5 minutes aren't over. I want more.
I start scrolling through my library to see if there is anything else. While scrolling, he noticed Fruit Ninja VR. This is when things start going south.
I have this on the iPad. I want to play that.
Sorry, but it's too hard for you.
No, it isn't. I am very good on the iPad.
It's different here. Then entitled Brad screamed.
Ma!
So loud that its sound waves were recorded by those whale mics in Antarctica. She storms in my room thinking something has happened.
What?
I want to play Fruit Ninja in VR.
Entitled Mom looks at me.
Come on, please let him. I guarantee nothing bad will happen.
Fine. I proceed to give him the controllers and then try to put the straps on him, but he refuses to wear them. You either wear them or you don't play.
Fine.
I turn to the computer to open Fruit Ninja, but while I was doing that, entitled Brad removes the straps since I wasn't looking. I feel like a fool for not noticing. He plays for like 2 minutes and then he attempts to slice a fruit, but his hand hits the desk. All the VR veterans out there know that this hurts like heck, even though it doesn't cause anything severe. He screams in pain and his reflexes make him throw the controller. I see it fly for 3 meters until it falls to the ground and breaks in two. The ring with the sensors and the handle. The noise was enough to make both my mother and entitled Mom storm in the room. They see entitled Brat crying, 2 halves of a controller on the ground, and me trying to help the entitled Brat stop crying. After all 3 of us calm him down, he goes and plays with the other kids like nothing happened. Then just Entitled Mom and my mom were in the room. So, how much will it cost to repair it? I'm extremely angry, but trying to hide it. It's broken in half, so it will probably be extremely expensive. It could cost as much as a new one. Which is? Around 150 euro? Entitled Mom looks at me in disbelief.
Oh no, I am really sorry. Hopefully you have enough to pay.
I was shocked. She was expecting me to pay? My face began getting red, and I was about to start cursing her out. My mom noticed it and jumped in. Why should we pay? It was your son that broke it.
Yeah, but your son allowed him to play this game, and it is your son's toy.
This was it. I blew up.
Now, listen here, you...
My mom stops me. Tadaro, it is okay. I'll handle this. She grabs Entitled Mom's hand and leaves the room and goes to the kitchen. This is how their conversation went, according to my mom. Are you hearing yourself, Entitled Mom?
Very clearly. Why should I pay for the controller? It belongs to your son.
But your son was the one that broke it.
Your son needs to show some respect to the house guests. He was about to attack me.
I can't say she is entirely wrong. My son had to put up with your son, who wasn't able to take no for an answer, and look where that led him. I am sorry, but he did warn you, and now you should pay the consequences.
I don't have to pay for the consequences of your son's actions. We are leaving.
Entitled Mom proceeds to go to Entitled Brat and tells him to wear his shoes, and they leave. At the door, my mom says, I'll send you the bill, and then she closes the door. That's basically it. For anyone wondering, no, she never paid it. The money went out of my pocket, even though my mom tried to pay because she took her side at the beginning, but I declined. This is the first time I've posted other than memes or a question, so hopefully I did good. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this many people to read this. I've seen you guys telling me to take her to court. I did mention that to my mom, but she didn't want to do it due to their history together. Some said that once someone goes toxic, he stays that way. A person that both me and my mother used to trust and admire did something that neither of us will ever forget. That person, though, has realized their mistakes and tries to heal the scars that they made as much as possible. So we now believe that people can change if they want to. That's why I decided to not take her to court, but get some distance from them for a while. Also, about the comments that told me, next time I go to their house to break something, I love stories about revenge, but I don't think I have the guts to take one. I feel like I would be stooping to their level. Next we've got Entitled Lady Gets a Ticket and Holds Up Traffic. Hello everyone, I have a story that just happened an hour ago, and frankly still has me shaking in a bit of anger. First off, I am on mobile, so excuse for any formatting issues. Anyways, I'm what's called a lot checker for a parking management company in Seattle. My job means I have to drive around to our various properties and issue tickets on violations. Needless to say, I have a lot of stories, but none like this one due to the ending, which I really feel showed this woman's entitlement. So there are 3 cast members in this little drama. We've got me, we've got the entitled lady, and coworker, my roommate and fellow coworker that mans the booth for the parking lot of a certain stadium that this happened in front of. So to set the stage, we run a parking lot at a stadium with a street that leads into it that is also private property and managed by us. Now on our properties, it is paid parking 24/7, no free hours like city street parking. There are signs everywhere saying you must pay. We even added arrows pointing to the pay station recently because of issues with Amazon delivery. I was on the street checking cars, walking back to the main lot to talk with coworker. In the area I was walking, there was no sidewalk, so I was walking along the side to be out of traffic, when along came our Karen, zooming up behind me and honking because apparently I was in the way of her making a U-turn. This in itself annoyed me, but I stepped to the side to allow her to pass. When I got to coworker, I turned to see she had pulled into a stall on our street. Coworker and I stood there waiting to see what she would do. Now, it's important to know there is a condo building across the street from where she parked. I watched as a guy came out of the building and approached her car to talk with her. After maybe a minute, she gets out of the car and the pair starts walking towards the pay station. I thought, cool, at least I don't have to ticket her. Oh, if only that were true. I see her look at the pay station, and see her with an "I don't have to pay" attitude and walked across the street into the building with the guy. Well, darn, here it goes. I have to do my job, so I grabbed my equipment and write her a ticket. All this took about 5 minutes. Once it was done, I walked back to my patrol car, which was parked right in front of the condo. Our Karen and her male friend exit the building at that moment, carrying some kind of TV table. Part of me felt sorry for issuing the ticket, as I am sympathetic to that sort of thing. But contrary to belief, we lot checkers aren't mind readers. I know she saw the ticket immediately because she just gave me this hateful glare. I just shrugged it off as a drawback of my profession and get in my car. I pulled into the lot to flip around and exit the property. This took the same amount of time it took them to cross the street, so I came to the exit just as she reached her car, which of course was on the street stall right in front of the exit. I see her start to carry the table to the back of the car when she looks at me and steps back and places the table on the road, looks at me before flipping me the bird and slowly opens her trunk. This became an issue in that it was not only in traffic, but now blocking the exit so that no cars can leave without hitting them. In response, I calmly stopped my car so no one else can get out of the exit and potentially cause an accident. "Ma'am, can you please move the table off the road?"
I will.
She doesn't move the table. "I need you to do it now. No cars can get by without hitting it."
I will when I get to it.
Still standing behind her car, not moving it.
Does it make you feel like a big man, giving me a ticket and trying to boss people around?
"Ma'am, I'm just doing my job, and now you're causing a traffic jam." After the entitled lady takes her sweet time moving it, I pulled out my phone and took pictures, commenting to the guy, who had been standing there the whole time, that for his sake, I hope he isn't affiliated with her, because I was reporting this whole issue to the property owner. Finally, the table gets moved and traffic can flow again. But if only this was the end of the story. I had moved on to the next property when I get a call from coworker. I wasn't there for this, so this is just what he told me happened after I left. Entitled lady approached coworker, demanding my name so she could report me to my manager. Now that I think of it, she did have the typical,
"Can I speak to your manager?"
haircut. At least in Seattle that I know of, the law states private information does not need to be provided on an employee of a property management company. So coworker looked at her and said, "Lady, I am contractually obligated not to provide you with his name."
Well, why did I get a ticket? No one else paid.
Rules for our lot says the receipt must be left on dash face up or else it becomes void. This is stated twice on the pay station screen and the receipt. Coworker, knowing this and that I had just checked those cars, responded, "Walk with me and we'll see." They both walked down the street and coworker pointed to the receipt in every car. She tried to then say she paid. Keep in mind, coworker and I watched her not pay. Coworker asked where her receipt was. At this point, she must have realized she was caught because she turned and walked back to her car, calling coworker fat. And that's it. Sadly, no real justice here other than the knowledge she has a $45 ticket. It's unfortunately something I deal with on a daily basis. People seem to consider working stiffs like me as subhuman and blame us for them not reading the signs. Moral of the story, lot checkers are humans too. We get paid to enforce the rules set out by the property owners. Don't assume you know how parking works. Read the signs and don't blame us for the ticket you earned. A lot of times, being nice and understanding of the situation can go a long way to get a lot checker to drop the jerk attitude and actually give you good advice to get out of the ticket. And our final story of the day, Walmart parking lot brawl. So a while back, I posted the story of the time a lady completely ignored her 5-year-old daughter in favor of yelling at my mother. And in that story, I made a passing mention at the time my mom got into a fight with an entitled mom in a Walmart parking lot. A whole lot of people in the comments demanded to see that story, and I'm currently trapped in a boring awards ceremony, so I've got time. This is an incident that occurred before I was born, so I know of it only via my parents' retellings. My mom is utterly mortified and hates talking about it, but it seems to be one of my dad's favorite stories about her, so it gets told. Back when my parents were first engaged, they were just out of college, broke as heck, and living in a crappy apartment right next to train tracks that kept them up at night. Because they were broke, they found themselves having to cut costs on most things, which meant shopping at places that they may not necessarily be a fan of. My mom hates Walmart. She's hated it ever since she saw a lady walking around with practically her entire butt out back when she was a kid. But this incident just cemented my mom's hatred of the place. It was August and my mom headed out to make a grocery run. Dad stayed home doing Lord knows what as Mom piled into their rattling piece of crap car and headed off to Walmart. It was hot that day, and I mean hot. Summers where I live can get to over 38 degrees Celsius, or about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, easily, plus humidity with no breeze. You end up feeling like a potato in a crock pot. Your insides melting as your outsides burn. It's utterly miserable. So my mom heads into the Walmart, happy to be there if only because it's out of the heat, and notices with a pang of sympathy that all of the employees are in full-length pants, socks, shoes, and heavy-looking t-shirts. No shorts, no sandals, no thin tank tops. For the cashiers, this wasn't too bad, as the interior of the Walmart was a frigid paradise. But the same could not be said for the poor, unfortunate cart wranglers, whose heavy clothes were drenched with sweat as they were forced to cross the asphalt expenses and round up the silver chariots left all on their lonesome. The shopping goes fine. My mom picks up what she needs, pays, and heads back out into the broiling muck of the outdoors. She loads her groceries into her car and puts her cart back where it goes because it's not hard. As she's about to get into the car, she sees an absolute whale of a woman dump a whining baby into a rusty car and push her empty cart out into the middle of the lot. Mom has worked retail jobs. Lots and lots of retail jobs. What this lady just did was a jerk move, especially considering the fact that one of those cart docks was literally right next to her vehicle. She could have just leaned over her impressive mass about 6 inches to the left and pushed the cart in there. Instead, she shoves it into the middle of the lot, where it will not only potentially impede cars, but will also have to be retrieved by some poor employee who will likely be nearly run over trying to get it because this is a Walmart parking lot and people drive like jerks. So my mom sighs, walks over and pushes the cart into the dock, rolling her eyes slightly as she does so. She's heading back to her car when she hears a door slam and
Hey, you!
She turns around to see this mountain of a woman lumbering towards her, the asphalt shaking as her 5 chins jiggle with every thundering footstep. She comes to halt directly in front of my mother, her maybe 5'10", mass looming over my 5-foot flat mother, the resulting shadow providing a break from the blazing sun. "Yes?" my mother says, very confused. The lady then launches into a tirade. Mom says she doesn't remember the exact words, but the general idea was that this lady thought my mom was being snarky, insulting her somehow by putting her cart back for her. My mom defended herself, saying that she only moved the cart because where it had been was dangerous, to which the woman roars,
Are you saying I'm setting a bad example for my child?
gesturing back towards her rust bucket of a car. My mom then notices that all of the windows are rolled up and she freezes. Like I said, I wasn't born yet, but by this point, my mom knew that she did indeed want to be a mother. So, as a prospective mother, she's even more appalled at this woman's actions than an average person might be. "Ma'am," she says, still trying to de-escalate the situation, "I am not implying that you're setting a bad example for your child. I will say, however, that it's incredibly hot today, so even if it's only for a few moments, you really shouldn't leave your kid in a sealed—"
Are you calling me a bad mother, you little jerk?
This woman bellows, her hands balling into fists. Mom glares. She's been in a bad mood most of the day, so she's about done with this lady. "You know what?" my mom says. "Yes, I am calling you a bad mother for leaving your infant in a car when it's hotter than heck out here. You'd rather pick a fight over a darn shopping cart than stop your baby from being boiled alive? That seems like pretty bad parenting to me." The lady gasps, then socks my mother across the face, hard enough to snap her head to the side.
You little jerk!
She hisses, rearing back for another swing.
How dare you!
She doesn't get to finish the sentence as my mom cuts her off by kicking her in the side of the knee. Hard. I can understand why this lady picked a fight with my mom. She was clearly looking to throw down, and as I mentioned, my mother was tiny. She's 5'0", about 21 at the time, though she looked maybe 18, and fairly skinny. This woman was built like a particularly flabby brick wall. My mom should have been an almost ridiculously easy target, but she didn't count on one particular thing. My mom used to be a farmhand. She did a lot of heavy manual labor, She was much, much stronger than she looked. And being a very small woman who had moved to live near a large crime-ridden city, she had a basic understanding of how to take down someone bigger than her. The whale yells, bending over to grip her knee. My mom takes advantage of the height change to jab her, effectively knocking the wind out of the woman. Before she can get back up, my mom runs to the lady's car and is relieved to find it still unlocked. She rips the door open, pulled the kid and his car seat, which was unsecured, mind you, out of the car, set him down in the shade under the awning of the cart dock so he wouldn't be directly in the sun, briefly checked to see if he was okay. He was. He'd only been in there about a minute or so, and then promptly made a run for it, as she didn't want to run the risk of the cops showing up. She knew that she could claim self-defense as the woman hit her first, and did so hard enough to make her nose bleed. But she also knew that throat punches were generally frowned upon, and that she had got that lady's kneecaps something good, so she didn't exactly want to test that theory. My dad said she came bursting into the apartment, plastic shopping bags dangling off her arms, blood dripping down her face, and her eyes wide and wild as she launched into a tirade about what had just happened. It took him about 40 minutes to stop laughing, and he's never let her forget it.
And shoutouts to our re-generals of the day: Pato Tato, DD Gotcha, Shy One, and Object Time. Become tomorrow's re-generals by leaving as many re's as you can in the comments below.